fractured views all over the news. It's giving me the blues, and it's time to choose. Starting to wake up from this sleep, from all the lies they spread that run so deep. But I will lace no more. Who are they fighting for? It isn't me. But now I see there is a new world order, but we're not invited. So much blood and murder from the drones unsighted. World War III is haunting me. I've got to find a way to save my family. The human race has lost its way. We put our trust in science, but it's us who pay. Used to be civilized, but we've been compromised. We're on a one-way train. We've got to break this chain. Starting to see that we should be free. The thousand feet want a piece of me. Should I do what they say or tell them go away? What is the price for freedom? Cause it sure ain't free. The time has come to raise the bar. There'll be nowhere to hide if there's a third world war. So let your voice be heard and let your heart decide to stand and fight for freedom while you've still got time. Wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up. Stand up. Stand up, stand up. Wake up, wake up. The time has come to fight. Wake up, wake up. Don't waste another night. Stand up. What are you waiting for? Stand up, stand up. Oh, they're gonna soon be at your door. Good evening. Welcome to Raconteurs News this Tuesday evening. I hope you've had a good bank holiday weekend. It's the 7th of May, 2019. And first of all, my apologies for my complete disappearance. I will explain as we get into the show tonight. I wanted to explain it. I also wanted to talk about as well what we're going to be doing moving forward. But anyway, listen. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for being in touch with me, and thank you for all the good wishes that I've had from people. A big thank you to that. Listen. I'm joined by Ade. Ade's here. He's got that bird behind him. Good evening, Ade. How are you, mate? Did you have a good bank holiday weekend?
Yeah, it was boring, but the good news is I've got my microphone working and my speakers. I worked out what it was because we were having a bit of a techie. Well, I was having a bit of a techie spazzy, but I've sussed it.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, the fact that you just answered me means you can hear me, so I must have sussed it.
Well, I can hear you, and you can hear me. That's
yeah.
That's the main
but
thing.
yes, weekend was good. Although I know I keep saying this, I can't get out on my motorbike until I've been to see the cardiologist again on Friday, and hopefully he's going to take me off all my tablets. So I've got my life on hold till Friday, and I know that's a stupid thing to say, but hopefully when I get to Friday, I'm rolling then. So
awesome, mate. Awesome. Well,
yeah. I have to mention something. We're loving the stripy wallpaper.
Well, people have been saying that in the chat room. Yeah, it's people in the chat room have been saying, love the wallpaper, new wallpaper, looking good, Jason.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
How much of that effort needs to be credited to yourself, and how much needs to be credited to your wife?
Right. Well, the entire wallpaper that you see behind, right, that's completely my wife, right? She's done that. She did the whole thing. However, today I've painted a wall which you can't see. It's behind there somewhere. Where you know our house. You know where the TV is and the two side things. Yeah. I've painted that today, and it's almost killed me. I've been. I don't know if you know what it's like to be stood on a chair painting with one leg. It's pretty hairy. especially when you don't want to hang on to anything because it's all wet and covered in paint and stuff. But yeah, I have done some. So all the stuff behind. Thanks to everyone. I'm sure my missus is pleased with it anyway. But I'm sure she's pleased with all the compliments that she's been getting. It's really. That's all her work, but I've just done a little bit today. But as you can, I'm not as mobile as I used to be.
No, you're not, definitely not. But I have to say, you should have used the brush instead of using your leg.
Yeah, well, that might have helped. Might have helped.
Anyway, listen, I've got an announcement to make.
Go on then.
We've got another one, haven't we? Another member of the Hewitt family.
Oh, right, okay. Another lizard.
Yeah, well, it's a Harry Hewitt. Harry Hewitt's missus has had a sproglet.
Oh, right, okay.
And I heard them earlier on today discussing what name they should give it, and I just said, we'll call it James after Grandad.
And what they called it, do you know?
I've no idea. Sproglet, I think, for now. It doesn't really matter, though.
I've been completely turned off. I've been completely turned off, as you know, as I've explained to you. I want to explain to people that are watching. We did have last week after the show. I got into a position where I weren't in a very good place. Let's just put it this way. I got through the interview with Max Egan, and then this week has been a difficult time for me because this week marks a year since I went in for the first operation on my leg, the one that ended in me having to have it amputated. So, I was also this week, I was going to my first football match since, and so I went to to Wednesday against QPR on Saturday. I'll find a photo and I'll screen share it with everybody. I went to Sheffield Wednesday against QPR. It was the first time I've been, but I've got to tell you, I was absolutely crapping myself the whole time beforehand and right up and even during as well. And last week, I was ill as well, which didn't help, and had to have some emergency treatment late last week because my blood were 15 times thinner than normal blood when it's supposed to be 2.5 times thinner than normal blood, but it weren't. It were 15 times thinner. And anybody who knows about INR, who knows about blood thinning and stuff, my INR is my target is between 2 and 3, so ideally 2.5, but it was 15. Which is dangerous. I mean, we're talking, if I bite my lip, I'm going to bleed to death, sort of thing. It's that it was almost a gas. So I wasn't very well. And after the show on Tuesday, on the Wednesday, I just had to turn everything off, and I turned every single thing. My phone went off. Everything went off. My wife, because she was at work and couldn't get hold of me and I wasn't responding to anything that she was doing, got her son to come and check on me. That's. I mean, I was just completely. I didn't want to. I just want to curl up in a ball and cry and do all this stuff. And I think that a lot of this has come from. A lot of this has come from the situation with my leg. It's caught up with me. I think that's what it's done. It's caught up with me. It's caught up with me, and also with, as you probably noticed, there's no Webby tonight. Webby's had enough of me, apparently, and he's going to be doing his own show as well. So it's going to be called the Webster Report. So have a look out for that, Webby. Good luck to it, to Webby with that. But that's what happened last week. I was in a really, really, really awful place, I really were. I were in complete. I were complete bits. I were a baby, essentially, laid there sucking my thumb, and I really couldn't deal with anything. And so I'm really sorry. But by the time it got to the end of the show last week, it was Monday's show, weren't it? By the time I got to the end of the show last week, I was really done. And whatever I said, I think I said that were it. I didn't really mean it. I didn't it wasn't. I don't know. It were just me sort of screaming out and saying, probably attention seeking to a certain degree, but I was sort of screaming out, and my head were in a place where it weren't a really very nice place for me to be in my own head. So we're getting over. I went to the football on Sunday, like I said. That was a huge, and again before that, the kickoffs were 12 o'clock on Saturday, and I went and met my dad. And it was the first time I'd been on my prosthetic in a place where there were lots and lots of people. And it was the first time that I'd been to somewhere, just without my missus as well, because that's a huge part of going anywhere with me is I've got my missus with me. I know I made dad with me, and he acted as my carer, but before that, the anxiety that I was suffering was, I'm not even going to say suffering. The anxiety that I had was just immense. It was just so incredible. And the relief that I felt after I got home after the game, it was as though the entire world had been lifted off my shoulders. It was like, it just felt as though I'd got through that little bit that I needed to get through. And that that I were going to be okay. I suppose the next one will probably be in July when it comes up to the anniversary of the leg actually coming off. But listen, that's enough about me. Enough about what I've been doing. If anyone's got any questions, I'll answer your questions. It's not a problem at all. I do. I am. I want to do. I really want to do. I really love doing this. I really do. There's certain things that make it. That make it so rewarding, but then again, there are certain things, there are certain parts of it that make it quite frustrating as well at times. And I think there's a lot of it about. I think there's a lot of stress and anxiety about at the moment. And I don't know whether it's some sort of. I suppose it'd be nice and easy to blame it on some sort of, attack that someone were attacking me. That I'm, and I'm not saying these people, that these targeted individuals. All I'm saying is it would have been easy for me to say I'm being targeted, because then that would have made me then not face up to what was really going on in my life and things that I really needed to face up to. So it's I don't know what to say after that, mate.
I do. Actually, I don't. How can I put this? Listen, I'm not going to offend you, although what I'm going to say might offend you. You've been through loads of shit. It's bound to catch up with you. You are only human. You're only a knobhead like the rest of us. And we all expect too much of ourselves, including me. I expect too much of myself as well and how to cope with things. And anybody who thinks like we do, it's very, very easy to become cynical anyway. Because we understand how the world really works, and it's annoying because you've got a few people making everything off the back of millions and billions of people. That in itself is frustrating. And how many people since we've been doing this have we known who have all of a sudden decided that they've found some new spiritual path, and then 6 months later they're dead? So that in itself is a difficult mental thing to deal with. And I don't know about you, but I've always said this is a bit of therapy for me as much as anything. But then to add on top of that, the fact that, something that you'd had wrong with you since you're in your 20s, caught up with you again in your early 40s, but then because of no fault of your own and somebody cocking up at the hospital, you've ended up without a leg. I would say that's a lot to cope with. And I know until you're in that position, you don't know how you're going to cope with it. But I've said this many times. I don't think I'd have coped half as well as you have had it have been me. So don't kick yourself. You can't help being a spaz. You just are. So let's just crack on.
You can't kick yourself.
Yeah, I can't kick myself.
If anybody else has got any more really shitty spazzy jokes that we can throw, let's get them in the chat room. Let's chuck them all out there together, and then we're done with them. Then, aren't we?
Yeah, go on, give me all your best one-legged stuff. I mean, I know there were an arse-kicking contest this weekend, and I couldn't enter. I was ineligible.
No, the daft thing is you did enter, but you were just shit at it.
Oh yeah, ultimate three-legged race, mate. Awesome.
Oh.
You want to see it, man?
Yeah.
It's just it's me and a bloke tied together, or a woman even.
Yeah.
And we don't want to genderize people, do we? But I'm trying to get back on. I'm trying honestly, really trying, and I am. The last couple of days have been totally better. I've been. I've sitting and talking to the doctor. Who is my doctor's fucking incredible. My doctor's incredible. I've told you the stories about what he's done. He's turned up at my house on after he's been on holiday, and he's got back and he's gone in on Friday night to have a look to see what's going on, and he's come to my house because he's concerned about some of that he's seen in some stuff. So my doctor's just been absolutely awesome. I even forgive him for shoving his fingers up my arse once. So
should have thanked him.
Well, I should have done, sure. But listen, I'm getting back. And the purpose of this broadcast, I mean, we've not got a guest or anything on tonight. I just thought it'd be good for us to get together and just have a chat. I don't like to announce things on Facebook, saying,
no.
Because
after the other night, you said that's the very last Raconteurs. We went off air, and I don't know if you remember, but I'd got a bad stomach, so I kind of ran off. And then the next day, you'd switched your phone off, and I'd got people messaging me, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't know. And then, the day after, you did answer your phone, and we sort of spoke. But I think it's a case of let's let everybody know what they can, what we're thinking of doing it with Raconteurs, like moving forward.
Well, I think we've talked about it. Just give me a second. I'm just going to answer a question my wife just asked me. My wife asks me questions while I'm on air. Just a second. It was the papers that were in there.
Oh, can I just while you're doing that, can I just point out, if you work for DPD and you come to my house, it's pointless putting a card through with no written on it. But I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, yeah, it could. Yeah, it's pointless going to it for anyone's house, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
But me and you chatted, didn't we? And we spoke about when it became obvious that Paul didn't want to be part of it anymore.
Yeah, and I think
but we talked about this, didn't we? I mean, how and the thing was with me really was the deadlines, I think, and so I think what in future what we're not going to do is we'll obviously we're not going to have a regular Monday and Tuesday show. We'll have 2 shows a week. We'll endeavour to have 2 shows a week, and maybe even a Friday night piss up like we normally do. But and we'll have some good guests on and some great guests. And they were. I just think that the deadlines that we had. So we had to have somebody by 7 o'clock on Monday. Otherwise, then it's just me and whoever else, whether it's Webby or yourself or Andy. Back in the day, it was always there. There was a deadline. And that gave me a lot of anxiety. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to be a little bit more fast and loose, sort of get a guest. And then it makes it easier as well that we can say to a guest, well, you just anytime you want, we'll do the interview, we'll do the show anytime you want. You see, a lot of people will probably think, well, you've got a Monday and Tuesday and a case of picking more people up and getting more people listening, but it's not really why we're doing this. It's not really, that's getting more people is not really why we're doing this. I mean, we do like talking to people, but I like to think of us as somebody's not guilty secret, but sort of something that goes under the radar. That's something that we hopefully have good contact. Listen, if everybody in the world wants to tune in, that's fine. But it's not what I'm aiming for. It's not how I I want this to go. I don't want to get to a point where we've got guests, sponsors, and we're having to do things, and we're having to temper as guests as well to fit in with those sponsors. You know, I think we cover quite a broad range of people. We have people from both sides of the argument on you know, as much as we can.
At the same time.
Well, yeah. Well, not at the same time, no, because that's a recipe for disaster, isn't it? But you know, it's I want this to be. I just want it to be something different, and so I just think that perhaps a more relaxed, laid-back attitude, so that we're not boom 7 o'clock Monday, boom 7 o'clock. And do you know what? That's probably how it'll work out anyway. We'll do 7 o'clock Monday and 7 o'clock Tuesday, but it's not
just without the pressure.
It's not necessarily going to be, as a set in stone sort of thing.
Well, I know when I was doing the Raconteurs 2, you and Andy were doing Raconteurs, and I was doing Raconteurs 2. Probably the most difficult thing was to actually get a guest lined up for 7 o'clock. Because sometimes, you know, this isn't something that people do for a living. And so, you know, sometimes the guest would have to shy off, not at last minute, but with not a lot of time to get somebody as a replacement. And it is the actual sitting down, doing an interview, talking to somebody, putting it up on whatever platform is the easy bit. It's finding somebody who's going to tell us something different, something new, or a different angle on something, or with a new set of eyes from a completely different point of view, somebody who's skeptical, something that's more interesting, or something that gives whoever's going to listen in something more to bite on than what they've ever had before. That's the idea. And you know, if we can't get to that, what we need to do is exactly what we're on about, which is, you know, we'll still do live stuff. It probably will still be on a Monday and a Tuesday, but if it doesn't happen on a Monday and a Tuesday, I think the best thing is now, because we're using YouTube for how long before we get shut down or whatever, God knows, because they just seem to be disciplining everybody, don't they? Silicon Valley takeover again. You know, but because it is just on YouTube, there's always, I mean, what is it, 200 and nearly 300 shows up there now, Jason?
Yeah.
And I think the Raconteurs 2 stuff that I did last year, I think most of that's up on there as well. You know, so there's an awful lot to go at. And I think the other thing that we probably guilty of is not latching on to what's going on in the mainstream, because it generally is bollocks. And I know we do the odd thing because it's so fucking comical, you know, about what they do. But what's going on in the mainstream, there's probably nobody worse to ask about mainstream than me and you, because the only news that I catch is if I happen to be in a customer's house and it's on, and I know you just don't watch it at all, and I'm not on any social media platform. So, you know, as far, so that's why what we like to do is try and get a guest to come in who's going to give us a completely different tilt on something that's either going to be a new subject or a new angle.
Well, I think increasingly with this censorship that's going on YouTube, I mean, if you get, I'll give you an example, right? A couple of weeks ago, everybody who posted anything Tommy Robinson would get the Facebook jail. I know people love being in Facebook jail, don't they? I don't know what I call it, a badge of honor for the mediocre.
For the naughty step.
Yeah. So, but everybody got banned, right? So there were I never saw any Tommy Robinson post for ages, none whatsoever. Then somebody took some milkshake on him in I think it was Warrington.
Yeah, was it Warrington or somewhere in the northwest, wasn't it?
Yeah, all fucking troublemakers up there, aren't they? But I think it was Warrington. But somebody threw a milkshake on him. Then it's all over everywhere. That's all over everywhere. Nobody's getting banned for that. It's got Tommy Robinson in it. It features Tommy Robinson. That's the main crux of it, because nobody cares who this other fucking loser is, who's chucked, who don't fucking hasn't got enough about him, enough wits and brains about him to be able to talk to Tommy Robinson and say to him, listen, this is nonsense, and this is the reason why.
Can't have a debate.
He chucks a milkshake, a banana milkshake or whatever it were, or the top of him. Then it's all over Facebook. So I think in this day and age, what we're increasingly, what's going to happen with channels like this, as long as we we're allowed to keep broadcasting, is we're going to have to bring that news to people. We're going to have to bring the news that they would have normally got from the friends on Facebook that they don't get anymore, because it's shut down. It's cast out, and increasingly, I'm looking at. I'm going to the forum. I mean, the forum sat there. Our forum. There's a link to it in the bottom of every one of our videos. That there's a link to the forum. Get yourself on the forum. You can talk to people freely. The people, everybody who wants to see, will see what you put. Nobody's.
It's not mediated, really, is it?
It's not mediated. Get to the forum. Share information that way. These are the ways that we're going to have to counter this, because what we need to do is we need to regress a bit. Because what used to happen when I was first in this, when I first started about 2005, after the Beckham thing, and when I first saw, the first thing I saw, and I'm really proud that I've been able to interview him a couple of times, but I saw 9/11 in plain sight with Dave von Kleist.
Yep.
And so
that's the first thing that you pointed me to.
That's because that's where I started, when if I'm telling you, if I'm giving you advice on how to open your eyes up, and I'll tell you where I started, you look at that and then you go wherever you want to go, then, don't you? Wherever you. But I used to come. I was a nightclub DJ. And I used to come home. I was working in Mansfield. Fucking Mansfield. What a dog hole it were. The club were called Coyote Wild. It were a proper dog hole. It had a
tip for the week.
It had one of them mechanical bulls, right? And the mechanical bull was suspended above the dance floor. And early on in the evening, we'd get the bull down and people would go on the bull. And then when it got into evening and place started filling up, the bull would go up. And I used to think to myself, for fuck's sake, if that bull fell, it's not only going to kill them on dance floor, it's going to kill the people below, because there were another section below, another bar below. But anyway, I digress. But I used to finish at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I drive home, and of course you're all wired and everything. You can't go to sleep, and really, if you'd have seen my missus at that time, you wouldn't have wanted to go to bed either. So I used to sit.
Can I just point out, it's not the lovely lady who sat behind you?
No, God, no, Jesus Christ, she.
It was a different Mrs.
Yes, it was. Yeah. She wasn't a missus, no, she wasn't. But anyway, listen, I don't want to get into any Tammy bash.
Jason, that was just for the sake of your testicles. I just thought I'd point that out.
Listen, she's not doing all with them.
No. I meant she might want to kick you in them if she,
she won't do that. She needs them.
Okay.
Yeah, she just runs off with my leg. Yeah, that's it. Take my leg to work and all that. Yeah. So but I used to come home and I'd be all wired, and I'd sit and I'd watch, and I watched in plain sight. I must have watched it loads and loads of times, and that were right at the very beginning when I were in my first my naivety, and I saw. When you do first wake up to this stuff, there is a certain naivety, and you will, because you are your mind's just suddenly been opened. It grabs loads of stuff, and most of that stuff's shit. It's crap. but
Yep.
it's in there, and you remember it, and then you spend time deciphering what is shit and what is real inside your head, and this is what people have to go through. Everybody has to go through this sort of thing. Everybody has to go through it. So I forgot what fucking question were. It's because of her interrupting me.
No, I think that's what, when we all remember. You might remember when David Icke went on to Wogan in his shell suit and said he was the son of God, and I think he was kind of at that point, but times 10 or times 100, where you just didn't know where all this was going to go. Knew he'd got something to say, didn't know really what it was. Managed to get on the Wogan show, and at the time made a cock of himself because he didn't know himself. Whereas if you look at him 10, 15 years later, completely different man. And completely different and much better information. And that's just the progress that we go through.
I completely concur with everything you said. Like I said, I noticed with you, when I woke you up, I noticed the same naiveties that Hyde experienced.
It was a little knowledge is dangerous. It was that sort of naivety. I'd got this little bit, and then it just kept. I mean, and I was devouring this stuff at an incredible rate of knots. I know I was, because I do have. I know I've got an autism trait, which is once I've got my teeth in something, I ain't letting go until I know everything there is to know. I am not letting go, and I will absolutely learn the subject. Well, how broad a subject is? The world's not fucked. It's working perfectly. Money isn't real, and all these things that I'd spent. So I just went nuts. And you're right. You did see that naivety and that. It's almost like you let me watch the same stuff that had led you astray as that you'd watched, because you've got to know the difference between the good stuff and the bad stuff. And I also have to say your bullshit radar is much better than mine. Much, much better than mine. You worked out Johnny Bravo pretty quick. A lot quicker than I had.
As soon as I fucking met him.
Yeah, you did, yeah. But that's just because you're a cynical twat.
Well, no, I mean, I didn't judge anybody else that came. I didn't judge Frags. I didn't judge Toke.
No.
Anybody else. It was just him.
For anybody that doesn't know, what happened was there was Jason and I had gone down to Stoke-on-Trent to the British Constitution Group stroke UK column event. I can't remember how many years ago, quite a few. And it was there that Jason and I bumped into Daisy, who was, I don't know if you remember, the young lady who was stuck in the mental health system because she's an NHS whistleblower. And we came back from there quite, knackered, because we'd not been to bed for 2.5 days because we were both working in nightclubs and regular day jobs and God knows what, as well as attending the conference and then driving back up to Sheffield to go work back in a nightclub again. But we came back with we're going to start off a group in Sheffield, and we're going to call it Friends of UK Column. Partly because at the time, we were very much friends with the UK Column, and still got a lot of respect for a lot of the work that they've done in the past, certainly. But it also meant we could make T-shirts on with FUKC written on the front, which we just found amusing. Friends of UK Column. Anyway, as part of that, we did some flyers and we took them to a couple of events. And one of those was, I think it was probably the second fracking conference that Ian Crane did on his tour that he started just after he'd finished hanging his hat on aliens being at the Olympics. So his hat fell off that coat hook. So he'd then gone on to fracking. Now, we sent these flyers around, and I said to Jason, got loads of people going to come to this next meeting, so we organised it and everything. And this guy turned up called Johnny Bravo. would never tell us what his real name was at all, and he just turned out to be just an unbelievable disruptor. Never really worked out whether he was working for the man or what is, but everything we've ever tried to do is tried to be as altruistic as possible. It's cost us money to do it. You know, we used to pay to rent a room so that people could go in and not charge any money for people to get in. It used to cost me money to put on a meeting, and we used to do that for all the right reasons, so that it never ever, it didn't matter if you were homeless, you could still come to our meeting if you wanted to. And that was the whole idea. Didn't matter whether you got £1 million or whether you were homeless, you were still welcome. And there was a lot of good stuff came out of that. But one thing that did come out of it was the inevitable disruptor called Johnny Bravo. Jason, I'm going to do this to you. Are you ready for this?
Go on.
You've been promising to do this for long enough. We want to know what happened with Beckham. It's time to do.
Oh, now we listen. Let's just carry on talking. We'll do that second hour.
Okay. Okay.
We'll do that second hour. There's a few things I want to. There are people making comments in the chat room.
Listen, you're notoriously crap at reading the chat room and even listening to somebody else. So read them out one by one, and we'll hack them. Go on.
Well, there was Society of the Spectacle says, "Good evening, Society. How you doing, mate?" Tommy looked down at the milkshake and said it reminded him of Netanyahu when he came on his face, which is fine. Which is listen, that I don't care what you think of somebody. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to me. It's if you're not prepared to listen to them, or even just walk away rather than do something like that, then you're a piece of shit. That's all you are. They're a piece of shit. I know, and you might think Tommy Robinson's a piece of shit, I haven't really got an opinion on him, but I do believe that he has the right to say whatever he wants to say. He's got the right, and he shouldn't have some dickhead who stood there, who's trying to make a bit of a name for himself, probably chucking a milkshake over him, just simply because he disagrees with him. Because if we disagree, if I chuck milkshake over everyone I disagreed with, everybody would be covered in fucking milkshake. I promise you that. Ron Malcolm says, first it makes you mad, then it makes you angry, and then you get it. And I agree with that as well, Ron. It's that's a very good analogy. But the thing is that what's the point where you get it? Because it's still making me mad and it's still making me angry, and I'm still in this a number of years later on. It's still making me mad. Not mad, but I can attest to it, and I'm sure my wife will attest to, because we can't watch anything without me fucking spouting something up.
Do you know one of the best things there's two things that helped me or made me, once I realized what all these things that we all get pissed off about, what hung them all together was two things. There are 13 families who own everything, and money isn't real. And if you don't understand fractional reserve lending, I'm sick of talking about it. I'm not going to do. Go look at a previous Raconteurs or whatever. Just look it up. Because once you get that, they're the two things that hang everything together. But the other thing that got me was, go onto YouTube, look up Jesse. Come on, what's Jesse's? Jesse the Outlaw or Larkin Rose. It'll be on. There's a link to it off his YouTube, and she does a thing which is basically saying the object of all this is to be happy. She's only got 6 or 7 videos up, but they're all really, really good. Jesse the Outlaw. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look at it now and give you the exact thing. But she's got one, and it says the whole point. You what? No, not yet. I will do later.
Okay.
For her, the whole thing is about being happy. So that, for me, is the end game. The end game for them Is one world government, one world army, and one world currency. We know that. But the end game for me is to be comfortable with that and happy in the skin that I'm in.
Well, if you're not happy in that skin, I mean, you've got a fucking fairly big skin.
I've got plenty of fucking room to get happy, and I know it's not like I'm going to be short for space.
Exactly. You've got like a double garage. Yeah, a swimming pool out back, you know.
Yeah.
Was, and I'll stop. I'm just going places I really shouldn't be going, especially with you, Ade.
Yeah.
Anyway, Super Leeds wants to know if Mrs. H can wallpaper his hallway. No, sorry about that. But she's mine, and she's stopping mine. Ron Malcolm, Mark Passio. Listen, I do want to say, if anybody, if we were talking about Johnny Bravo, John Bravo, this guy who came along to our meet, I want to talk about him a little bit more. If people want to see what we're talking about on my YouTube, my own personal YouTube, Alter Edge Media. There is a talk that he gave at one of our shows. It's about an hour long. It's about an hour and 90 minutes, part 1 and 2. But it's on Alter Edge Media. It's on there. You'll have to look. You'll have to find it out. It's right down at bottom and miles. But just put John Bravo in Alter Edge Media or John Bravo's talk or whatever. It's just that's the guy we're talking about, and now that guy was he was a disruptor. We got a really good venue, haven't we, Ade? We got a proper venue.
Incredible, yeah. And we blagged it. A lot of the time we did manage to blag it for free. A lot of the time, not towards the end, but
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we managed to blag it for free, and it's got a huge one of them. One of them tellies that's made up of other tellies.
Yeah.
It had one of them, and we got to use that as well.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
I think it was a 5x8, wasn't it? It was a big telly.
Yeah, it were enormous. But I don't know if you remember this. Can you remember this one? This is a test for your memory. Can you remember in the room there was a switch that had that underneath it were written Miro balls?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, whichever guy had installed the mirror ball had written MIRROW.
Miro balls.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've still got a picture of that somewhere.
Yeah.
Picture. But yeah, so if you go on my site, there's a couple of videos that we did at that on Alter Edge Media. I think there's a few. I think there might be 9 or 10 videos that we did, because we had Tony Farrell speaking as well, didn't we? He came along to speak, and we had a few other speakers as well, and we also had some knobheads come along, didn't we? I mean, do you remember that fucking bloke? Do you remember that bloke who came along? I think it was one of John Bravo's mates, and he piles along. I think it was John Bravo's talk, and he was there, and he were in like a, one of them like Chinese suit type things that goes up to the top.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And he got like he's got some beads in his hand and stuff, and he thought he was some sort of fucking guru.
Yeah.
And we're trying to talk to me, and I'm like, I'm trying to do something else, and he's trying to talk to me, and I think we were trying to get on to do get in and to do a talk, and fucking weirdo. We got some fucking proper weirdos, but some really good people as well.
Yeah, we did. We had what's his name, who lives down the road at Whittington, Chesterfield? Rob. We had Rob on a couple of times, didn't we?
Rob Freeman.
Yeah, Rob, who's absolute gentleman, top guy. Rob doesn't understand how clever he really is, because he's a top guy, but he's clever in a very, very simple way, because it's just like common law is very simple. If it's complicated, it's not for your benefit, it's for their benefit. Don't play the game. And that's pretty much something I learned off Rob Freeman. You know, he got all these complicated things that was happening, and rather than try and write letters that had got all these big legal words in that he didn't know what they meant, and they were, you know, he just brought it straight down and just said, look, I'm a simple man. This is what I want you to show me. Show me a contract. If you can't show me a contract, please stop hassling me. If you're not going to stop hassling me, I'm going to take you to task. And that was his way of dealing with things, and that for me was an absolute breath of fresh air.
Yeah, we did have. I think that's on my. That's another one that's on my YouTube account.
Yeah.
The Rob Freeman, and he were a good guy, weren't he? I mean, he said he wasn't somebody that attended our meetings, but he did agree to come along, and I do actually think it might have been John Bravo that got him on, who put us in touch with him. You know,
I can't honestly remember.
As weird as that sounds, I'm pretty certain that were it, because you know what I'm like. I weren't booking guests. I mean, we only got Farrell, didn't we? Because he. Oh, sorry, I was doing some work with Colum at that time. So
that's right.
We got the column on, didn't we? We got
a live hookup, didn't we?
Yeah, we did a live Skype thing on. They were on video, so there's Louise, Malcolm. Brian and Mike. Yeah, and they were all on with us, and we were doing a Q&A, and that were really good. That were, you know, but Tony Farrell turned up at that.
Yeah.
And that's the way that we got him to, because what had happened with him is he'd been in touch with the column, and then he'd got some more information for the column, but we were trying to get back in touch with him. But see, this is all the behind the scenes stuff, dudes, that you don't get. You're not party to. You don't know anything about it. I'll tell you. But Tony Farrell was trying to get in touch with the UK column with some new information, but the UK column were blanking him. And there's on the video
at that point, Tony had definitely he'd changed his stance on his religious points of view. Is that, I think, probably the best way we could put it?
I don't think it. Listen, I don't think he did that. I don't think, because he were always a devout Christian,
right?
He were always a devout Christian. I just think that the person that he thought, that he was worshipping, became a different person.
Right.
That person was actually this person. But anyway, that's a complete. But there's a really good. If you look at that, have a look on my YouTube account. Tony Farrell. I think it's part. I think no, it's not Tony Farrell. The Audience with UK column. It's part 1 and 2, and there's one of that, because the UK column had been blanking Tony Farrell, and then suddenly Tony Farrell turns up at a Q&A. And the look on Brian's face is awesome.
It's quite funny, because Tony was sort of sat to my right in the audience, wasn't he? And we said, "Oh, any more questions for anybody?" And Tony sort of stuck his hand up, and then kind of came in to the side of the picture, and they kind of went, because they'd not realised he was in the audience, because he was sat slightly off camera. And I think that was what did it. And then Lou went, "Oh, hello, Tony."
It's Tony Farrell. You know how he talks. Tony Farrell, great, nice bloke. I love Tony Farrell. I really do. I think he's one of the most. Listen, if he's an agent, he's one of the most personable and decent agents that you'll ever get. Yeah. He once said to me, and that were. He once said to me, he says, "I'm telling you because you're the only person that I trust." Yeah. So, and whenever he's got out, he always comes to me. So, you know, I like Tony. He's
just for those that don't know, just to explain who Tony is and what important document he wrote.
Well, Tony Farrell was the chief intelligence analyst for South Yorkshire Police, and what happened was, I think about 2008, 2009, sometime around then, anyway, right in the midst of the terrorist hysteria that fucking went off all them years ago. South Yorkshire Police came to him because he was principal intelligence analyst, and they said, right, we need to write your report. We need you to write a report on the dangers of what threats, terrorist threats there are in this area. And I think it was with a view to getting some more funding, which is what didn't happen in the end. So what happened is Tony went away, and he says, okay, and he took the task on, and he's still working alongside police, and he's doing all this stuff.
He was actually a civvy, though, wasn't he?
He wasn't a police officer. No, he was.
He was no longer a police officer, was he? He was working as a civvy.
He was, yeah, but he was principal intelligence analyst.
Intelligence
analyst. So he was working for South Yorkshire Police. So that was his job. He worked for South Yorkshire Police.
Yeah.
So they write as a document outlining the threats of terrorism from yada yada in the South Yorkshire area, and this is, like I said before, I think it was to get some more funding from central government, saying, "Oh, look at we're all terror." So anyway, what happens is Tony goes away, and he starts looking up on terrorism, and he finds 7/7 ripple effect. Now, he watches that, and that completely changes him. And he says, okay. And he writes this report, and the report essentially says there's no threat from terrorism in South Yorkshire. The threat comes from the government.
And South Yorkshire Police and their inadequacies. And then he did all the Hillsborough stuff, didn't he? And
oh man, this was the thing that threw him into the light, because what they do, it's like they do with everybody. I think I remember they were they asked somebody to write a report on drugs and what they should do with the drugs policy and what have you, and he wrote a report saying, legalize them. That's the best thing to do, is legalize them. That'll cut most of the problems out. And they sacked him. I think that was the guy, that guy with the drug czar or something. But anyway, what they did with Tony Farrell is he writes this report and says, oh, right, there you go. There's no, so obviously South Yorkshire Police aren't going to get any more funding from central government. So they sack him.
Yep.
And then he takes him to tribunal for wrongful dismissal, and there's all sorts of stuff. Just have a look at what Tony Farrell's been into. I mean, he did
he was telling us stuff about Hillsborough, and there was stuff in his report that was kept quiet until this last batch. The final thing of Hillsborough actually came out, and even then, they still tried to squash it, and they still tried to shut it up. But a lot of that was in the original Farrell report that he let us read, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From like years and years ago. They just wanted to squash it and squash him because he'd told the truth. And they didn't pay him to tell the truth. They paid him to write a report to get him some money.
The thing is the thing is with Tony Farrell, and I'm going to be honest, I like him. I really like him. Welcome round my house for a cup of tea. I'll sit and talk to him. I've done things for him. I've been and met him for drinks. I gave him a recording device.
That's right, we did, yeah.
I gave him a recording device because he was going down to meet Michael Shrimpton, the barrister in London, and he was going to record the conversation for me. And he did record a certain amount, but it weren't really very clear. But there were enough in that, there were enough in that for not for me to use, because it's what's being held back to be used at a point where it's going to be useful for me. But I've still got that. The guy, I like him. I like Tony Farrell. And so, some people might think he's a bit David Icke, his views. I mean, according to him, I've had God on my back garden having a cup of tea. I've mentioned this before. I'm sure I have. Muad'Dib, John Anthony Hill, who did 7/7 ripple effect and other stuff, and Hillsborough ripple effect. I don't know if that was Tony or Muad'Dib, but anyway. But he's been on my back garden. We've been there, right? And I how to judge somebody. I know what I think. I always think I know what the outcome of everything is going to be. Every relationship that I have, you know, if there is an end, there's an outcome, and I know what it. I think I know what it is. And Tony Farrell, just read his stuff. It's all good stuff. Jar Truth, I think.
Yeah, I was just going to say Jar Truth. Yeah.
Yeah, Jar Truth, JAH Truth. And again, listen, read it. If you think I'm talking bollocks and you think it's crap, fucking good. That's great. At least you've read it.
Yeah.
So,
Do you know, you've just mentioned Ike, and there's a couple of things that that you can't disagree with him on, and that's freedom of speech. Once you stop somebody, no matter how much you disagree with them, having the freedom to speak their truth, once you are party to either agreeing to let that stop happen, or you encourage that stop to happen, you then take away freedom of speech completely, because if one person doesn't have freedom of speech, nobody has freedom of speech. Now, if they say something that's, you know, sets about violence, you know, whatever, that's a whole different ballgame. But the other thing that is quite vocal about at the moment is if you've got just the mainstream media that you're getting your information from, that's the only perception that you've got. But if you've got your mates in the pub and you've got Facebook and you've got, I don't know, Raconteurs News, and you've got, I don't know, think of 1,000 other, or let's call it alternative media or whatever outlets you want to look at, then you can make your own mind up, or even have your own idea and get your own YouTube channel and start putting your own stuff out there. But the problem is, what they're actually doing is making anything other than the mainstream narrative that's all paid for by the 13 families, and so, you know, all the big companies. And like I've said before, if you own the company who makes the food, who makes everybody ill, and you own the medical companies that are supposed to make you better but just keep you ill, well, you're on a fucking winner, aren't you? You know, and that is the objective, and that is what they do. But if you stop somebody getting all sorts of different views and being able to make their own mind up, that is the worst type of cutting of freedom of speech. Because if you've only got one place that you're getting your information from, that's the only perception of reality that you've got or you will ever have. And it really, really is. And that's why, you know, I've been to see my daughter and my grandson today. And all right, my grandson's only 4 years old, but I purposely talk about stuff in front of him with my daughter. And, you know, she's just been today, and she said the headmistress had pulled her to one side today and said, was she sure that she didn't want to have a second opinion about my grandson having a flu jab? Now, here we are in May. They've been trying to get to give him a flu jab since October. You know, and here we are now in May, and they're still trying to get my daughter and she says, no, I don't wish him to have a flu jab. Thank you very much.
But it's becoming more and more, isn't it?
But what I'm saying is she's got this alternative view of things, and she can make her own mind up. Now, if I told my daughter, look at this for vax, look at this is what the mainstream says. If she then chose, you know, to getting vaccinated, that is entirely her choice, and there's nothing I could or would do about that because it's her choice. But if the only perception that she's got is my dad must be a fucking nutter because on Calendar and on BBC and on ITV it says that giving vaccinations is absolutely fine, there is no alternative view. That's why it's important that you can't. The thing that is in most danger at the minute, for me, the biggest thing is losing this freedom of speech. because it's been shut down on Facebook. And you can look at Tommy Robinson. You can look at Max Egan having to take his own video down. All this stuff all over the internet is now. The internet first started off as this massive place where we could all share information freely. Now we've all become to rely on it for everything, even what we're doing right now, this second. Once we're all completely reliant on it, this is where they then start clipping everybody's wings, and it'll get clip, 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 right down until the only thing that's left is mainstream.
Well, that's what's happening now. And listen, anyway, we're at our mark. Let's have a record, shall we?
Go on then.
We'll have a record. Let's take a breath, Ade.
Love you lots.
It'll do your heart a lot of good. It'll do your heart a lot of good. Listen, you're listening to Raconteurs News with me, Jason Holmes, and Ade Hardy. We're talking about, well, amongst other things, I think we're going to get into vaccinations and stuff in the second hour, because I noticed it's been ramped up, and this measles thing, it seems like the new bubonic plague, and in fact the bubonic plague was reported somewhere. I think there were a plane that had to land because people have got bubonic plague on it. But we'll get into all that stuff in the second hour. If you've got anything to add in the chat room, hi to you all in the chat room. Ron, Paul, Keith, and well, whatever. Yeah, time for the bucket. Yeah, thank you very much, Tony. But yeah, we'll be back in a couple of minutes with the second hour. It's Raconteurs News on Tuesday. I'm gonna have some fun with this one here. Woo-hoo! In the morning, when I wake up, all I want is marijuana. In the evening, when I'm thinking, all I want is marijuana. If you look in my eyes, you will see what I've done. Every minute, every hour of every day. But life is like a smoke. In the end, I'm gonna choke. So all I do is live my life from day to day. Oh my God, you know you better watch yourself, because I know you're waiting on the one. Cause I'm telling you, concern, cause you know the one that I take off for a run. You let me see you do that run. Run and the one that they clan and the one that done. Cause I know you can't be me now what you wanna do. Cause I'm about to break it down me, cause that's only cause you know you cannot feed me now. Let you wonder. You better back it down now, because I'm telling you, what bar, one bar, cause I can't wonder. Because you know you like the way you put that pick up. Cause I'm telling you fools what I put up, and in a mercy. Now what you wanna do, and in a mercy. Now what you wanna do, and in a mercy. Now what you wanna do, and in a mercy. If you look in my eyes, you will see what I've done. Every minute, every hour of every day. But life is like a smoke. In the end, I'm gonna choke. So all I do is live my life from day to day. You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, crease it, stack it, burn it, pack it, roll it, poke it, roach it, smoke it, then you pass it to me. You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, crease it, stack it, burn it, pack it, roll it, poke it, roach it, smoke it, then you pass it to me. Come on, baby girl, let's get it going on. I'ma hit the highway and do it my way. It ain't no game, girl, so I don't play games. I keep it up straight, right up in your face. So make your mind up, cause life is too short. I got the best on, boy, put your belt on. Stop acting all cool like Kanye West, boy. You be riding through the wire and the camera get on fire. You don't want that, no, I don't want that, no. This goes out to pimps and chicks, so slow. Hit the backseat when you're doing the licking, kissing, squeezing. Do the damn thing, man. You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, press it, stack it, burn it, pack it, roll it, poke it, roach it, smoke it, burn it, pack it, roll it, bone it, roach it, smoke it, marijuana to me.
If there is a better marijuana song than that, then I want to hear it. Okay, so it's all about the marijuana, it's all about the Heathcliff, and it's all about, oh, sorry, I'm standing up, which is not easy. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. That's what it's all about. And when you get that, you'll know where I am. Anyway, welcome back to Raconteurs News. It's the second hour. It's just it's myself and Adie tonight. It's Raconteurs update. We're moving forward. There were a little bit of confusion about at the end of the last show, and hopefully we've cleared that up a little bit. But I did also want to say thank you to people that have contacted me. I know we're off the grid for quite a while, but people that have contacted me since, I'd like to mention Dinny, who got in touch and to make sure I'm okay, and also Super Leeds and Johnny as well, who I know that had a few concerns. So sorry, I didn't honestly mean to give you any concerns or do anything, and I know you've been through a lot, Super Leeds, and
hopefully
we might even have you on
No, don't say that.
No. Hey, he's just got out of rehab, okay?
All right.
So
as long as he promises not to sit at kitchen table and say, well, I've got no to say.
Well, if we have him on and he's 10 minutes in, it's not going anywhere, then we'll just switch him off. Simple as that. You know, it's
Listen, I've got a request. I want you to play One Night, Wide-Eyed and Legless.
Why?
Don't know. Just thought it'd be a good song for you to play.
Are you taking piss or what?
No, I'm no Legless.
Yeah, it means more to me, that, you know.
Well, listen, if we're getting all these puns out the way, we might as well fucking do it.
All right, we'll do it then. We'll do it.
Yeah, we were talking about vaccinations. The bit that I don't get is, let's give, well, essentially a child who is developing chemically in their own brain, you know, I mean, God, imagine how many chemical changes happen in a kid's life up to the age of 18 when they're developing. And they want to put things in your body when you're a kid. But they give you a vaccination that may give you a disease like ADHD and yada, yada, yada. But it will stop an infection. Well, an infection. I remember we used to have measles parties, chickenpox parties, and mumps parties, and so that everybody in the neighborhood got it, so that everybody would then be immune to it. And the other thing that gets me is, you know, when they say, "Oh, yes, you have the vaccination," and then people still get it, and then they say, "Oh, it'll make you immune." This, yeah, okay. So why do I need a booster? You know, what do you mean? Well, you give me this vaccination which is supposed to make me immune, but then you give me a booster. So why don't you just let me get it when I was a kid? Because that's really what they're doing. But the main thing is, and this is what my daughter said to the headmistress when she was talking about my grandson, and this is what got it. Headmistress is there trying to get her to have this flu jab for little one, and she said to her quite simply, "What's in it?" And she said, "I beg your pardon." She said, "What's in it?" "Well, it's a flu jab." "Okay, so what's in it?" And that was where the conversation ended, because she didn't know. And I think even that made the headmistress think that, you know, she's there getting all these kids because somebody above her in some hierarchy chain of whatever, you know, in the school hierarchy tells her that she's got to get all these kids to have this injection. And then after most of them have had it, one intelligent mum has said, "What's in it?" And it really made her think. Whether or not it'll make any change or not, I don't know. But that was what did it when she said, "Just tell me what's in it."
Well, I saw something that really summed up for me the people that want to vaccinate you, and the argument is that if there are people, I don't even get that argument, but if there are people that unvaccinated, they're going to be a danger to the people that are vaccinated. And I saw
We vaccinated
somebody
don't fucking work then.
somebody had put a post up saying, "I've just took my multivitamin. Can everyone else make sure they take theirs so mine works?"
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
It's just ridiculous.
Because what they do, they try and hang that herd mentality on you, don't they?
It works, doesn't it?
Yeah, oh God, yeah, of course it works. Of course it works. Well, everybody else is doing it. It's like, what the fuck? Everybody else. Well, if you haven't got anything to hide, what's your problem? Well, I'll tell you what I have got to hide, my fucking privacy. You know, and for anybody, but Jason, I can remember you and I talking about when you first got me to start thinking about stuff, and they were trying to get effectively what they've done, which is to get everybody to have an ID card with the form of a driving license. That's what they've done. And I actually remember saying to Jason, well, yeah, but if you haven't got anything to hide, what's your problem? And here I am now, and I'm fucking completely 180 on that, you know. I'll tell you what you've got to hide. You've got your own fucking personal pride, your own personal information, and your own privacy. That's what you've got to hide, because it's fuck all to do with anybody else.
Exactly. If somebody says to you, if you've got nothing to hide, then what's the problem? You say, okay, well, I'm assuming you've not got curtains up in your house.
Yeah, I'll just pop round and have a wank over your missus while she's getting changed, then, shall I? You know.
Well, then, you know, I wouldn't do that. Me.
Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud?
Yeah, you did say that.
Sorry.
Strangely enough, yeah, strangely enough. No, yeah, you get these buzzwords. You know, these buzz phrases. You know, if you've got nothing to hide, what's the problem? Yeah. Well, this is problem, right? Is there any? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Next time someone says that to you, have you got nothing? If you've got nothing to hide, there's no problem. Say, all right, then let's have a look at your knob.
Yeah, get your knob out then.
Get your knob out. When they go, oh no, and go, it's not illegal. Your knob, is it? It's not. You've not got an illegal knob, have you? Have you got an illegal penis? Have you got an illegal appendage? And they go, no. I said, well, get it out then. You've got no time. Go on, get it out. Let's have a look. And unless you happen to just bump into somebody who's got a rate bigger, and they just go, all right, then, boing.
Yeah, and it'd go quite proudly. Yeah. Anyway, the thing I was looking for earlier, Josie the Outlaw. Just go on to YouTube. She's only got about 7 or 8 videos on, but they're all really, really good. Really, really good. And because she's a pretty young girl, well, I say young, she's, I don't know, mid-20s, I don't know. She's had loads and loads of hits for her videos, but they're really, really to the point, and really good, really good. Anyway, what I'm thinking of doing, Jason, and I don't know if it's every year they have Acapulco in April in Mexico, and I'm thinking of going next year.
Okay.
Just need to get some money together. You know that stuff that doesn't exist.
Yeah, we know we don't.
That you can't pay your bills with. Yeah, well, that's what we need.
And Acapulco. Speaking of which, I mean, Mark Devlin was there this year, who's been on Raconteurs News, and I think
Max was there as well. Max was there this year, wasn't he?
It's been there a few years, I think. Yeah, he was there this year as well. Yeah, I'm sort of on the. I'm sort of started doing some research and stuff, and I'm wanting to put something together, whether it's going to be a book or a video. It's probably going to be a video because I'm just
can't be asked to write it down.
Fucking lazy to write a book. Well, I am, aren't I?
Yeah.
But I'm going to do this a similar sort of thing, but I'm going to be looking at comedy because I've noticed there's a lot of comedians. I mean, just look at it. Just look at background. They're all They're all like, you know, eating footlights when you go into the 90s, and some of that really stuck out at me. Struck out for me. I was listening to an interview, and I don't know why I probably were in car and I just got a radio station on. But like with this, what's his name? The pub landlord bloke.
Oh, Al Murray, yeah.
Al Murray, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, his persona and everything. Now you think it's just like normal working class, but then he was talking about when he were at boarding school.
Mm.
And you know, and then I'm thinking, well, they must all be the same. They must all be the same. These, because most of the stuff they say it's not funny. It ain't funny. It'll be crap just to get. It'll be cheap laughs. Look, we used to watch. Me and Danielle used to watch. Have I Got News for You?
Yeah.
Can't watch it anymore because all it is, it's propaganda. It's it in the guise of comedy. It's like almost. It's almost
in the beast, isn't it?
It's almost to the point of pantomime.
Yeah.
Type stuff, you know, but it's taken seriously as real comedy, and it's just that's what I'm thinking of doing anyway. I don't. If anyone's got any insight into that, if anyone's got any insight into anything that we're talking about tonight, then leave something in chat room or send us a message.
Mm-hmm. So listen, we've mentioned Harry Hewitt, and I think he should call his baby after Grandad. James, there's no way. There just isn't, is there? There's no way that Charlie's his dad. Not happening. It just ain't happening, is it? Them wing nuts are just not big enough. And you know, it's a ginger. Come on. Anyway, I'll tell you what, I had quite an interesting conversation with my mate Neil. I think Neil's listening tonight as well. I am Neil. He's just come back from Vegas. Loves it in Vegas. Been for 8 days. Him and his wife, brother-in-law, all the rest of it. Had a great time, and he brought me a T-shirt back apparently. Anyway, he said to me, "We'd love to go live out there." Now, Neil's, I wouldn't say he's ready for retiring, but he's in his mid-50s, so kind of retiring's on his horizon, and it's in his thoughts about what he might do. And he said the one thing that would mess him up is the medical insurance, because sadly, his wife, she started off with Crohn's disease, which then gave her something else. So she had to start taking these tablets for gout, even though it wasn't gout that she'd got, but they gave her the same tablets, which then gave her a kidney problem. So her kidneys are knackered. So it's the tablets given the tablets and the tablets and the tablets and the tablets. So she goes to Vegas with literally a huge box of drugs, pipes, feeding things, bags, God knows what. And she wouldn't mind me telling you any of this. But a lot of it is the result of the drugs that she's on. And I said to him, how with the airline? He went, "Oh, British Airways, mate." He said, they couldn't have been better. They were perfect. Absolutely brilliant. There was one guy in the queue that shouting, "Thanks for holding us up." And the bloke at the beginning, who was dealing with him from British Airways, just said, "Don't worry, I'll deal with him later." And we're really good. Clearly a disabled passenger, and they were really, really helpful. Anyway, he said, "We'd love to go live out there for like 6 months a year and then come back. But it's the medical insurance that we'd struggle with." And then he said, now in Vegas, since he was last there 2 years ago, they've got these guys, and all they do, they wander around the car park with a sweeping brush, sweeping up and letting people in with the barrier, when you could actually go in the barrier with a car park with a token and the barrier will go up anyway, whether there's anybody there or not. They charge every car $10 for parking. And the guys who look after the car parks and keep them all spick and span are on, get this, $150 a week. A week. Now, in today's money, what's that, about 120 quid?
Well, when are you talking?
Now.
In today's money, then it's $150, isn't it?
Yeah, but whatever it is in UK. But $150 a week.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's about 120 quid in.
But they all do it because guess what comes with the job? Medical insurance.
Right.
So they've now got people in the States working literally for, well, a lot less than what we have got as a minimum wage, whether you agree with the minimum wage or not, but a tiny amount, $150, 120 quid. So effectively they're on what, £2.80, £3 an hour? Something like that. Yeah? Plus medical insurance. Because Big Pharma is making that much money, which is just fucking unbelievable.
Look, they're all making that much money, aren't they? I mean, they're all in it together. I mean, the guys the company that's employing them at this rate and getting them medical insurance, they probably got a fucking dick in every, every report,
like I said, when you got 13 families who own everything, they're probably on the medical insurance company, the hospital, the casino that you're working for. And that's why it's all controlled, and that's how it's all controlled. And once we join all the dots up and realize that, when you say, working for the man, well, the man is 13 different families, and that's fucking it. It nearly is one man. It's not just a phrase. That's literally what it is. That's what it is. Go on then, Jason. Tell us what's going on in the chat room. Out and out.
Well, people are saying that this 13 families thing is a bit of a myth, but I don't think they're actually disagreeing with you. I just think they're probably disagreeing with the numbers that you're providing. So, if we just say a small number of families own things, for fuck's sake, I know you just get, my nipple. Well, all right. Blah, blah, blah. Let me have a look. Ron Malcolm says, when I was once told everyone else went along with it, I say I am not everyone else, and that's the point, isn't it?
That is absolutely the point. Yeah, that is absolutely the point.
What did you make of the we had this election, didn't we? These elections last week, I think it were.
All right, yeah.
We had these elections now.
Were these the European ones?
No, they were certain local council elections.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
Now, what I did notice about that is this were a really, really shrewd move on behalf of whoever's fucking doing all this. But you've got Labour and Conservative, and they're both like losing votes because they and not seen as Brexiteer parties and whatever. And the people that voted Brexit feel like they've been betrayed by them.
Yep.
And then, but you still know that overall they're probably going to get the majority of votes because that's all people can do is look at colours and little trees and fucking doves or whatever it is on fucking Labour. But if what really interested me was, we've now got anybody that was a Brexit voter. The parties they've now got has been completely fractured apart.
Yep.
We got UKIP.
Yep.
Then I know that they didn't run at the council elections, but I know that they're doing it at the European elections. The Brexit Party. Then you'll get fractions of Labour and Conservative that are Brexit based. So I've just found it interesting that the establishment, which a good way of maintaining the establishment is that it don't matter whether it's Labour or Conservative. The thing's going to be whatever's happened is going to be the same. But they know that there's been a dissenting view, and anybody that's dissenting from Labour or Conservative have now been offered 3 or 4 even. I mean, there's Green Party as well. 3 or 4 different alternatives, and it's able to dilute. It dilutes. It dilutes everything. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You thought about that?
Well, when anybody starts to say about politics, because it's essentially, you're right, there are 2 choices if you believe in politics, and that's you either vote red or blue. And if you're pissed off with blue, then you vote for red. But when you've got a red prime minister, supposedly Tony Blair, doing all this shit that you don't like, so you vote for a blue one, David Cameron, and he gets in, and he carries on doing the same shit. So what you then do is you vote for the next one that's wearing Tony Blair's old colour, and it's like, hang on a minute, does that make any fucking sense? But you're right. You've then got and I don't think it's an opposition to anything other than one thing, because for me, Tories and Conservatives are one and the same. What they actually do is go down that same road towards one world government, one world currency, and one world army. That's the way it's all going if you stick with them two. The alternative to all that is so fragmented, is so full of arguments. I mean, down in London, I think you'd got Farage on one stage and Tommy Robinson on the other. Why not get your fucking heads together, lads? You might not agree with each other on everything, but the one thing you do agree with is that everybody who stuck a cross in a box has been fucked over when they voted for coming out of Europe. So when
that's what we're taught to believe that.
Yeah, of course it is. But the real truth is, just none of the above. Just do a Richard Pryor. None of the above. Don't vote for any of the cunts. Because I'll tell you how ridiculous it is. The next lot of voting that they're going to encourage you to do is for a European MP, because we're still in Europe, somewhere that we should have been out of weeks ago.
Years ago.
It's took them 3 years to do fuck all, other than arrange the next set of voting bollocks that you can take part in.
It's taken them
the new European Parliament.
Exactly what they're doing is the fracturing, right?
Yeah.
They know that people that are going to vote Conservative are going to vote Conservative. They know that people that are going to vote Labour are going to vote Labour. You've got them. So what they do then is there's a dissidence, and the people are moving away from that. So what they do is they set up all these other parties, and then they dilute the vote, and the status quo stays as it is.
I think the day I realised,
but we are never going to fucking vote his way out or anything.
No, you're not.
The way to do it is to go to Parliament and drag the fuckers out by their fucking pubes.
The thing that somebody said to me that really got me to fucking clock this was, last time you voted, did you vote for somebody, or did you vote a tactical vote against somebody else? Because for most people nowadays, it's not who you believe in, it's voting against the guy who you don't believe in. And that's what people do. And I think once it's got to that stage, voting itself is ridiculous. And you're right, what we ought to do is all of us fucking march down their gate and just fucking drag them out and say, you do not represent me. Fuck off.
Yeah. And you ain't got many pubes, so it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, and if you ain't got anything to hide, get your knob out. What can you say?
Well, we're all into that, mate. I'm not. Knobs out. Yeah. I've noticed in the chat room, we've still got the usual crowd. Good evening to you all, Ron and Super and Nick, all in there. And I think, they have the little world of their own. I think they do their own show in there. We do our show, and we're just talking.
I've noticed that,
because they just do their own show in the chat room, but. We encourage that. It's good to get people together and get people talking.
I've just found the one I was looking for. Hang on a minute. I'm not going to actually play it. That video I was on about from Josie Outlaw. It's had 35,000 views, and it's entitled "The Goal Is Happiness." And anybody who thinks like us, we do all get fucked in the head, because trying to live in a world that you don't belong in because the world's fucked is hard. Regardless of the fact of any shit you've got to go through, like having new wallpaper or do you know what I mean? Or having your leg off. That just adds to it. But it really is worth a watch. The Goal is Happiness. And it's 5 minutes and 29 seconds long. So Josie Outlaw, YouTube, The Goal is Happiness. And that will also take you to our other videos, which are, as I say, really good. Really, really good.
Well, we have got people, well, we've got somebody wanting the Beckham thing. Wanting the beans on the Beckham.
Right, listen. Right. We've got 28 minutes. Unless we choose to go over. Because
Okay.
Right. Jason, quick interview. When I first got to know Jason, which is quite a long time ago, Jason was always one of those guys who, he was the guy who would push the boundaries, ask the questions, and give me something to think about. But if ever there was anybody who was prodding the tiger in the cage without getting in it, it was going to be Jason. If ever there was somebody who was going to ask why, so if there was a load of people being pushed away by somebody in a uniform, Jason would be the one going, oh, hang on a minute, you can't do that. He'd be the one asking the question, not the one going along with all the rest of the people just moving down the bus in the right direction. And what I quickly learned about Jason was he wasn't as deft as I first thought. But then we had this thing where the word Beckham got mentioned, and I went, what do you mean? Beckham? All that thing that was on the front page of the Sun newspaper where his security company had a laptop stolen and it had got DNA and God knows what on it. And he went, yeah, that was me. And I'm thinking, this guy's a fucking loon. What's going on here? And then he actually sat me down and told me about it. So, Jason, we've mentioned Beckham a few times, and I know your view on it is it happened and it is what it is, but it certainly opened your eyes to a lot of things. But for those who don't know, in your own words, in 26 minutes, let's be having it. What happened? What was the first thing that happened?
Well, I was working then for an intelligence company, a security company, we'll call them.
Yeah.
And I knew somebody else who worked for another security company, and there was I needed something covering, and I met him, and we had a conversation. We sorted out the business that we got together, and then he says to me, I asked him because I knew him. I'd known him for a few years, and I said to him, "So what's going on with you?" And he says, "Okay." He says, "Well, just plodding along life, and we were talking about his kids and stuff." And then this is going to take ages, isn't it? If I carry on at this pace. And then
crack on, brother.
Then anyway, he says to me, we were having a conversation, and then he says to me, he says, I've been restoring computers and selling them on eBay. I says, I took a course and I've been doing these computers. I've been restoring them. I said, oh, right, okay. I says, have you got? At that time I got a 7-year-old daughter. I said, oh, have you got one? I might have one for Emmy. Because I thought, well, buy a cheap computer and it's, it don't matter if she spills stuff on it and stuff like that. So anyway.
Like a homework computer.
Well, just like a computer so that she could get used to being on a computer. Bear in mind, I'm back in 2004 and I'm in normal person mode.
Yes.
Right? So anyway, I phoned him up. Oh, I asked him. He says, "Oh, I've got a few." He said, "I've just got some from work." I says, "Oh, all right, okay." He says, "I've just got some from work. I've just done them up." He said, "I've got them for sale now." He says, "They're 60 quid a piece." So I said, "All right, I'll pop up and go and see him." And I'll tell you where it were. We're at Keppel near Keppel's thingy. What is it? Keppel's View at Rotherham.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, you were up near there. So I went up at night one night and gets out, and I goes into his house, and says, he shows me a computer, he demonstrates it, and then he says, I've got a better one. I've got a better one. He says, this one, it's 10 quid more. So it was 70 quid.
That much?
Yeah, exactly. He says, it's 70 quid. He says, but it's better. So I said, oh, for extra tenner, I'll get fucking better one. So I bought a better one. Takes it home. Goes in, it's too late. Kids are all in bed. So, you know, I don't show it them. But I set it up, see if it works. And as I'm setting it up, I set it up and I'm just looking on the computer to see. I'm just looking at it. You know, you get a computer and it's a second-hand computer.
Yeah.
You do think to yourself. So I looked, and the recycle bin had got. You know how the recycle bin emblem on your desktop, and if it's got trash in it, then there's something in there.
Yeah.
So I double-clicked on that and I looked, and then these files popped up, and one of them were said Beckham security. Right, so I thought, well, I'm going to look at that, aren't I? And so I restored it, and in the security folder was everything you needed to know about David Beckham and his missus. I mean, everything you needed to know. There was their addresses, their phone numbers, the phone numbers for the parents, the phone numbers for the siblings. Louise's phone number, Louise Adams, her phone number were in there. Tony Adams, who is Victoria's dad, his phone number in there. Everybody's phone number, everything. And I thought, oh, so I keep digging and I keep having a look, and and there's just more and more stuff. There's the plans to the house with the safe rooms in, and the codes to the safe rooms, and there was also DNA profiles of the children in case there were a kidnapping, so that they could verify that they were. This is all stuff that were on this computer. It was just the probably it was most surreal night of my life. That there was all this stuff, and I mean everything. I could go into detail. I could tell you different things. There were faxes between Tony Adams and the. As it turned out, the computer that I'd got was the managing directors of the security company that were Beckham's bodyguards, essentially, close protection. It was the managing directors. And what had happened is the guy that I bought it off, bear in mind, this is 2004, people weren't as savvy as they are now, right? The guy that I knew worked for him, and they were having all new computers in company, and he said, well, can I have the old ones, because I'll refurbish them and then I'll do them up. So what I'd got the managing director, a guy called Peter Constantine. I got his computer, and he was the managing director of the security company. I mean, they weren't just David Beckham's, but it was mostly Beckham. I mean, there were Michael Owen, stuff about Michael Owen. There was stuff about oh God, who else? Who else were it? Oh, there was someone else as well. But the Beckham stuff were at that time. I mean, it was 2004. He were at the height of his power.
I was just going to say he was golden balls, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not into football, but you know.
Yeah. So I mean, I could tell. I mean, there's stuff I could tell you, but I really daren't on a live YouTube feed, or will just never. It'll just be deleted. Things that I read and things that I saw and things that perceptions of people are just completely different. I saw internal memos between Tony Adams and the security company. I also saw medical records. That's another thing. There were medical records on there from I think the previous year they'd been on a trip to the state. They'd done a tour of the states, and there were medical records on there from an incident that happened on a plane. I'm really not going to go into it. I wouldn't want anybody to go into it if it were me, so I'm certainly not going to. But I'm just trying to give you just how
amount of detail.
Yeah, the amount of stuff that I could have There was just everything you needed to know. There was also everything that a newspaper would kill for. And I mean really proper kill for. And I know that they did. Anyway, so I've got this computer and I'm reading all this stuff and I'm up all night reading it. Anyway,
what did you think at that point? Did you think, oh shit, or did you think, fuck you know, we're in here? What was going through your mind?
I really don't know. I think it was just I was in a bit of shock, really. I really didn't know what to do. I was quite naive. I weren't the person that I am now. I was a bravado male sort of dickhead.
Yeah, got you, yeah.
But I just didn't know what to do. I went and I the next morning. I'd been up all night reading this stuff, and the next morning I went down to a mate's house not far away, who didn't live far away from me, but it were my mate, but it weren't too close of a mate, if you know what I mean. It were I knew, and somebody that I did have, that it weren't weird me turning up on his doorstep. But I went to his house and I knocked on the door and I said, he went, "Oh, yeah, mate. Oh, who are you, mate?" Because he's a Geordie like.
Oh, I thought he was going to say Welsh. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, all right. How are you, mate? Oh, that's what is going on, man. So I said, listen, I've bought this computer. And he went, all right. And I said, you'll never fucking believe what I found on it. And he went, it's not what I think it is it? And I said, no, it's not like that.
Oh, so he thought it was like kiddie porn or...
I found some child porn on it or something. I said, no. Yeah. And I explained to him. And he went, fucking hell. Anyway, I stopped and had a cup of tea and then I went home. And I'm there. I rung Heath up.
Yep.
Who at that time lived in Worksop, so he weren't far away. And he actually came around that day, later on that day. Him and his missus. But anyway, next thing I know, there's a knock on the door and I've got a journalist from Sun on my doorstep. A huge, tall fucking guy called John Askill. I think he's retired now. He might even be dead. But John Askill, huge, tall Sun reporter, legendary Sun reporter. He's on my doorstep. And he can we talk to you? And I says, yeah, all right. So I took him out back. I said, don't roll in your fucking house. Even back then, I was a bit more savvy. Anyway, he let me know he let me know that he'd been tipped off. So he says, we're really interested in obtaining that from you. And I said, so all right then. I didn't say all right then. I said, well, what? And there I go. I've got this moral dilemma because my mate sold me this for 70 quid. Now, if I sell it on and it becomes all over newspapers, he's going to lose his job.
Yeah.
Over 70 quid, And to be honest, this guy he weren't really a mate. He weren't like someone I went out with, just somebody that I worked alongside sometimes.
Yeah. So he was a colleague, not a best mate. Yeah.
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 And anyway, he looked at me, and John Askill, the reporter, he looked at me, and I could see that looking back, I could see he thought, this is a fucking bloke, lives in his, semi-detached house in fucking Dinnington, with his fucking bird, and now, Garn's a bit fucking, and he went, could be worth a lot of money, that computer. I said, oh, he went, that's $3,000 sound. I said, $3,000? What's that? What you want this for $3,000? I said, no. Anyway, it went on. All that went on, and he went, I've got editor at fucking Sun on phone to me, and he's saying to me, well, my man's going to walk away if you don't say, I think they've got up to $5,000. My man's going to walk away if you don't want to, if you don't want to deal. I says, well, I don't. And he went off. He fucked off, right? And I remember this distinctly. He went off. He went, right, well, we'll just leave it then. And he went, because I'd shown him a couple of little things, but I'd not shown him everything. Right. And he knew there were fucking tons more. So I'd shown him a couple of little things. And so...
and then, of course, he's rung his boss, and they're just like wanking.
Yeah, he's gone off, right? He's gone off. Anyway, then the security company have been alerted that I've got the computer. I get a phone call from my friend. From
the guy that you've given 70 quid to.
Yeah, the guy who I've bought it off. I get a phone call from him saying, fucking shit's hitting fan, and the boys are coming over from Manchester. I'm hoping to get to you first, so that I can get computer and get it back, and then boom. Anyway, he comes round to my house in his fucking car, comes it back, and he stands there and he goes, I can't believe what you've done. I says, I ain't done no. I says, you've sold me a fucking computer. You've sold me a computer with all that information on it. Did you not delete it? Could you not have deleted it any better than you did? Did you think putting it in recycle bin we're going to fucking delete it? Should you? The problem's not mine, it's yours. Anyway, he gave me the fucking 70 quid back and then fucked off because he couldn't get a computer. I weren't giving him a computer.
Right.
He said they're going to be around in a minute. So I said, oh, fucking hell. I thought, I'm thinking to myself, bear in mind, I've been up all night.
Yep.
I'm in a situation that I've never been in before. I've got no idea about fuck all. And I've been told boys from Manchester coming over. And it fucking shit's just hitting fan. So anyway, at that, as he left, or after he left anyway, I got a phone call again from the editor of the Sun, and he says to me, I'll tell you, I'll never forget these words. He says to me, he says, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. He says, my fucking head's in a fluster. He says, someone's just thrown some paint in Parliament. It was that day when someone,
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
He says, someone's just been throwing paint in Parliament. He said, I'll give you 20 grand for it. And I thought, well, boys are on the way around. I might as well have 20 grand as my knees. So he had it and he were away with it. He went away with it. Right? Luckily, boys from Manchester didn't turn up. They must have known that it were fucking gone. Anyway.
I think if it were me, I'd have just been hiding under my bed.
Anyway, so I've got so anyway, they've took this fucking computer away, and it's been a proper fucking stressful. I mean, really, really stressful. And I decide I'm going on vodka, so I get some vodka. I'm fucking drinking vodka, and I drank plenty, and then I fucking fell asleep. So I must have fell asleep about 9 o'clock. And I must have fell asleep about 9 o'clock. And then it were about 10:30, 11. Boom, bedroom door opens. I'm laid naked on bed. Completely stark bollock naked. Boom, door opens, coppers come in. Boom, they're raiding me, they're taking me away. So they pick me up, Jason, pick me up, pull me up.
They burst into your house, big red door key, bang,
bang,
police, straight upstairs.
Straight upstairs. And anyway, I'm stood there. I've had something to drink, so I'm like, I'm belligerent, shall we say. And I'm stood there, I'm totally stark bollock naked, and there's coppers there all over the place. And they're fucking searching all around the house and everything. Anyway, the in process of arresting me. They obviously can see I'm not going anywhere because I've got no on. Anyway, I said, listen, I need to have a shit. And he says, well, you can't, because you'll have to wait till you get to the station. I said, well, listen, I'm either having a shit before we go, or I'm having a shit in the back of your car. It's up to you. So they took me to the toilet, no word of a fucking lie. I sat on the toilet naked with two coppers. One stood there and one stood there. One of them a woman. And I did the fucking smelliest vodka shit that you've ever smelt in your life. It stunk. It absolutely fucking stunk. And I'm fucking glad I know, because the cunt, we're fucking standing there while the man has a shit. What I'm going to do? Fucking throw a computer. I'm going to shit computer out my arse and chuck it down bog. Of course I'm not. They're after a computer, aren't they? That's what they're after.
Yeah.
So anyway, I get back to, I get to the police station. I'm
assuming you're not naked. You have actually got some clothes on.
I put some clothes on. Yeah. I got to the police station, and I'm at desk sergeant is trying to book me in. Again, like I said, I'm belligerent. This has nothing to do with any knowledge or anything like that. It's just I was just being belligerent. But he stood me in front of thing, and he says, right, you've been arrested on suspicion of theft of computer and conspiracy to blackmail. Do you understand? I said, no. He said, you've been arrested on suspicion of theft of a computer and conspiracy to blackmail. Do you understand? I said, no.
So you didn't know what standing under an understanding meant at that point?
No, I just were being belligerent. I was being a cunt. And that's when I realised, I did it a few times, and he just went, well, put him in holding cell. And then they put me in holding cell and got me back after 15 minutes and got me to understand. And they did it about 4 or 5 times. I was doing it I did it 4 or 5 times until the final time when I was getting really knackered. And I said to him, I tell you what, I'll understand. I'll tell you I understand when you get me a Quran. And they went fucking running around fucking building to find a Quran. Where we're going to get a Quran? I could hear them. Where we're going to get a Quran from? Where we're going to get a Quran from? Went running around fucking building, come back with a Quran. I went in front of Sergeant. I said, yes, I understand. And he were able to put me in.
So until you said, I understand, they could do nothing with you?
Nothing at all. Nothing.
Right. So, the one lesson from that is you never understand. You just don't do it.
Never. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. I mean, they'll probably still win.
Yeah, of course. If they're going to chuck you in a van, shit or not, smelly or not, naked or not, they're going to do it. There's nothing you can do to stop it, but what you can do is stop the process. And as you say, you were completely naive, didn't know what understand meant. But as luck would have it, you did use it. And since then, you found out that's why it worked.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember because I did it. I must have been doing it all night because by the time I did, I wanted to just say, look, I just wanted to be able to go to sleep.
Yeah,
without being woken up every 15 minutes. But I also thought I still want to be one up on them, if you know what I mean. Because the fucking stupid, they're thick as fuck. Coppers are thick as fucking pig shit. I don't care what you fucking say. They are thick as fucking pig shit. As a unit, there might be individuals that have got some fucking brains about them, but they are thick as fucking pig shit. It were like when oh god, I got pulled in. I weren't supposed to be fucking communicating with my ex. After we'd split up, I weren't supposed to be. I were not supposed to communicate with her at all. Anyway, coppers come round to my house at 5 o'clock in the morning and nicked me and said, "Well, you've been communicating with her." I said, "No, I haven't." And he said, "Yes, you have. You've been communicating." And they showed me text messages that I'd sent her. I said, "Sorry, I weren't supposed to contact her." She said, and they went, "Look, we can see 19 times there, 19 text messages." I said, "Yeah, I was responding. I wasn't contacting her. I was responding to what she was saying." And they got my phone and looked at the amount of text messages that she'd sent me. It were about 60 to my fucking 19. Of
course, then we weren't on smartphones then, where it were like a conversation. It was simply an inbox and an outbox, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Like on an old Nokia 31, whatever, yeah.
But what they wanted me to do is to say, yes, I contacted her, but I didn't. I was responding, and I didn't say that I contacted her. I just said all the time, I didn't. I responded to her. I responded to her.
Yeah.
And you know what? They let me go. They had to let me go because they had nothing, because I wouldn't admit it, and that's the fucking thing. If you're not savvy enough to know what you need to say, then what you need to say is fuck all.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Don't say anything. Yeah.
A fish with its mouth shut don't get fucking caught, does it?
Well, exactly.
A fish with its mouth open gets caught. Anyway, so you're in this police cell. You've just said that you do understand because you took the piss and told them you wanted a Quran.
Yeah.
What happened from there?
Well, they interviewed me the following day, and it's funny because there's this the guy that was in charge of the investigation was somebody called Detective Sergeant Steve Smith.
Okay.
Now, I just read a book by a solicitor from Rotherham who was called Steve Smith. So when they said to me, "Who's your solicitor?" I said, "Well, Steve Smith." Because I just read his book. But
you'd never met the guy, didn't know the guy. You'd never had any cause to have a solicitor, let alone no one's fucking name or anything. It was just like a.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this, this guy I'd read about 3 of his books, and really entertaining books about criminal courts in 80s in Rotherham. Really funny. Steve Smith author. But I rung him up.
What was he? Your one phone call?
he was. I says. I mean, we were fairly well known because it was Rotherham Station that we're in, so we were fairly well known amongst them. So I said Steve Smith. So blah blah blah. Anyway, following morning, I goes back to my cell, obviously, and following morning, they say your solicitor's here, and he comes in and he says to me, "I've cancelled all my cases today," because they were in court that day. "I've cancelled all my cases. I've cancelled everything. You're my number one priority." I think he was seeing all pound signs,
Seeing the word Beckham and thinking, "Fuck me, this is
all pound signs."
Because what he's obviously seeing is this is going to take him to the next level. It's a big name that his name can be associated with.
Like something for his next book, isn't it?
Of course it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he spent all day with me, and we sat and had a chat and everything. And I did an account. I didn't go no comment because I don't know. I got no to hide. In fact, I was there nude. I got that much not to hide that I took all my clothes off.
And had a shit.
Yeah. But yes, so I did all that. went through, and I ended up on bail. They released me on bail, but I couldn't talk to anybody. I got fucking reporters at my door. Um, there was one local paper that, although I didn't talk to them, they did do a piece that was fairly accurate about what had gone on,
right.
Before anything had gone to court or all like that. So yeah, and that were Rotherham Advertiser. They decided to go on their own. I mean, they knocked on the door and asked to talk to me, but I said no. And they did a fairly good piece about it. It was mostly about how Rotherham fucking police were at the beck and call of Beckham's. A celebrity. I mean, even the police that came round from time to time, they all had like, kept saying things like, I couldn't believe it when we heard the word Beckham. We couldn't believe it. So they all wanted to be in on it. You know what I mean? It was just a ridiculous indictment, I suppose, of a time that we were living in, and that is even fucking worse now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you end up, we've got to the point where the heavies from Manchester haven't been over. You're in a police cell. You're being interviewed. What did you tell him? Did you tell him what had happened? Did you tell him about the editor at the Sun? Did you tell him about the $5,000 that you'd been offered? Did you tell him about the 20 or 30 grand that you were then owed because the Sun had taken the what?
This, and I found these things. I found them interesting. Then a reporter knocked on my door, and I've sold him the computer. It was my computer.
It was yours to sell. Yeah,
exactly. And so that's exactly what I told him. That's what my solicitor advised me to do. He said, tell him. So I told him. I gave him a full account, and I told him everything. They recovered the computer from the Sun. That's another story.
I'm just going to say, what happened to the files?
There are so many tangents to this that it's unbelievable. There's so many different facets and different things that went off surrounding it, all surrounding this. I know for a fact that the Sun kept the files because they used them as a bargaining tool to get David Beckham to give them a front page exclusive.
Right.
I know that for a fact. I mean, I know for a fact that Steve Smith, the detective sergeant at the time, I don't know where he is now, I hope he's fucking brown bread, the fucking little Hitler cunt. What a man with a small man's fucking, one of them people with a small man's fucking mentality, and thinks he's just because I'm fucking 6 foot tall. Well, at least I used to be. But just these fucking. He was running a football team, and there was an article in the Rotherham Advertiser saying that his football team had just had a very generous donation of equipment and stuff.
And can I ask, quite cynically, where that donation of funds came from?
You tell me, mate. You fucking tell me. You tell me. But I mean, there's so much to this. I mean, South Yorkshire Police were so implicit. It was unbelievable. I actually sat in front of the chief constable at the time, Med Hughes. And when we were talking, when I was saying to him, I said, look, you came because he told you to come. And he said, who are you talking about? I said, well, Peter Constantine, the guy at Chase Security, that's what they were called. I don't know if it still exists. The guy at Chase Security He called you and told you to come and arrest me. You had no grounds to arrest me whatsoever. And he might kick my door in or do anything. He said, oh, well, we have to go on information. I said, well, if I rung you up and said my computer's been nicked and I know who's nicked it, you'd come round to my house and you'd say, right, we need a statement from you. Let's have a look at crime scene. Where did it come from? How did he steal it? But you didn't. What you did is you come and kick my door in because you heard the name Beckham. And he said, no, I can assure you that's not true. We do not have any affiliation with anybody. I said, well, what about Peter Constantine? And he said, well, no, there is no connection between South Yorkshire Police and Peter Constantine at all. I said, you categorically tell me that. And he said, yes, I can. Then I put a fucking printout of a web page where Peter Constantine on his website says he trains police, South Yorkshire Police, in fucking self-defense and you know, all them techniques that they fucking do, you know, that fucking wrist shit that they fucking do. They think is fucking hard. Well, you know, it's there, fucking in front of him, blood drained from his face. He just didn't know what to say. Yeah. But that's it. When they don't know what to say and they run out, that's it. They've run out of things that they can counter that way. It's like they're basically like salesmen. You get a salesman and they'll tell you that when you're training to be a salesman or when someone's trying to train you to be a salesman, they'll tell you.
An LP to fuck.
You've got counter arguments and you've got you know, it's just fucking utter nonsense. South Yorkshire Police were up to it, in it right up to the fucking necks. And to be fair, I let them off the hook. And I don't even know why I did it. I don't even know why I let them off the hook. I just thought.
I do remember when it all got very complicated and you were trying to explain it to me. And you said to me that if you rang the police and said, Ade's nicked my computer, they'd go, oh, well, come round and take a statement in 3 or 4 days' time. And they'd arrive at your house and they'd write it down. And then they'd come to my house and they'd say, hey, Jason says you've nicked his computer. And I'd say, no, I haven't, because here's the receipt that he gave me. And that would literally be the end of it. But because the name Beckham's involved, fucking hell, it's just like everybody starts digging for gold and starts trying to work out what's going on.
But you see, that's the thing. Now, what I did is South Yorkshire Police eventually, I mean, this is just just the cliff notes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is nothing compared to how much there is of this that I could go into, but it would probably be your old fucking knee. But South Yorkshire Police I mean they even went to these lengths. I get a phone call. I'm supposed to answer my bail every month, and it was September when it happened. And so I answered my bail in October, and then I was due to answer it again in November because I went to answer my bail in October, and they said, no, we're continuing inquiries. So, you know, we'll just bail you again. And I said to him, I said, is this Toy Town? Where am I? What in the world do you not get? You've got nothing. Why is this not dropped? And I went back on the second occasion. It was November when I was due back to answer my bail. I get a phone call from my solicitor. I'm due to answer my bail at 12 o'clock. I got a phone call from my solicitor at about 11, and he says, "Listen, no need to go to that bail." He says it's been dropped.
Oh.
I said, okay, all right, well, I won't bother then. All right, cheers, mate. And I went off, did my thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, 12 o'clock comes and goes. And then must have been about 1:15, something like that. I get a phone call. I answer it. Is that Jason? I said, yeah. He said, this is Detective Sergeant Steve Smith. I said, oh, what's up? And he says, why aren't you here? You're supposed to be answering your bail. I said, I've had a phone call from my solicitor this morning. You drop charges, so why do I need to turn up? Well, you should have still turned up. We could still do you for it. I says, well, do me for it then. Whatever you fucking want. Yeah, by this time, I'm sick of the little cunt.
Yeah, and I can only half imagine. I can only half imagine.
He says to me, I says, well, I told you had no. And he went, oh, no, it wasn't because of lack of evidence. I said, oh, yeah. Well, what were it for then? He said, because they deemed it not in the public interest. So I said, okay, well, we'll see what CPS has got to say about that. And I'll be in touch with you again soon. Detective Sergeant fucking Smith. Fucking dwarf cunt face, fucking dickhead. Oh, I hope he's listening. Yeah, so anyway, I just said, well, okay, well, done. I'll see you. That's it. That's me and you. We're done. Anyway, fucking hell. I'm just wondering which tangent to go down. Anyway, so I wrote to the CPS, right? And I wrote to the CPS and I asked them implicitly what was the reason for no further action. And they said, they sent back, there wasn't enough evidence.
So it's essentially no case to answer.
No case to answer, yeah. There wasn't enough evidence. In other words, there weren't none.
Yeah.
But, you know, this little cunt tried to get that little dig in, you know, afterwards and say, you know, don't mean to say that you know, you fucking, that you're innocent. It just says that it's not in the public interest. Well, that's bollocks.
Yeah. How long were you actually banged up for? They put your door through. You had the shit. You went in the back of the police car. I'm assuming with some clothes on by then. You stand in front of fascist Steve Smith, little cunt, bang, puts you in a cell. Do you understand? No. Do you understand? No. Get me a Quran, yada, yada. How long did they keep you for?
20 hours.
So it's less than a day, but enough to...
20 hours? Yeah, listen, 20 hours of fucking being sat here and not knowing what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Listen, I've done time. I did 6 days in Dorchester.
Were you a criminal?
Exactly. I've done time. I know what it's like, and it's not. It's actually prison is better than being in the fucking police cells because at least in prison you can fucking do something.
Yeah.
But yeah. No. All what they did is, just get so fucking. They're just so snidey and so sneaky. I went not long after that. I went to Worksop, and I went to see Heath actually.
Yeah.
And I went to a fundraiser. There were some kids. I don't know if you remember them. They were from Worksop. Obviously, it's many years ago. But there were 2 kids, and they got this disorder, and people were raising money for them and stuff. Okay. I think one died, and the other one, well, I know he's died now, but at that time they were doing a fundraiser, and I went along to this fundraiser. So I go along to this fundraiser, and because I'm going to Worksop and I'm having a drink, I catch bus. Yeah, easy, dinner to Worksop. Anyway, I get on bus on way home, and I want not back. I want second to back seat at bus. Anyway, at some point, this bloke gets on bus and sits behind me. Just normal shit. And it's a late night bus. Anyway, next thing I hear is he says to me, "I've got a gun. You need to get off at Anston Stones." Which is an area near Anston, which is basically a large area. It's stone, it's streams and caves and all that sort of thing. You need to go to Anston Stones. So I'm fucking, wondering what the fuck's going off. Anyway, I look behind me, like thinking someone's pranking me, wanting to say fuck off, and I can see he's got a fucking gun.
Oh, okay.
So I turn back round and I get off at Anston Stones. Then he marches me down Anston Stones, and then he puts fucking gun to my head, and then he tells me if I don't drop it with the police and with the fucking with Chase security, then next time I won't be leaving Anston Stones. And so, and then he fucked off.
Mm.
I didn't know he'd gone until I dare look round. Right. So I had no, I don't even know how long I was laid there, but I was laid there literally fucking peeing my pants.
Yeah.
And it took me that long to pluck up the courage to look round to see if he'd gone. And then he'd gone. And then I went home. I rung coppers up straight away. I rung fucking coppers up. Right. And I tells them what's happened. This is a firearms incident.
Yeah.
I ring fucking coppers up. I tells them what's happened. Anyway, one copper turns up. Who do you think?
Steve Smith.
Do you know what he tells me?
No way.
Do you know what he tells me?
Really? Did he turn up on his own?
He turned up on his own.
Oh.
Do you know what he told me?
Go on.
Didn't fucking happen. And then went.
No way.
Fucking piece of shit, man. Fucking piece of shit. I know this. And listen, everyone listening to Raconteurs News this evening, Raconteurs. I know this sounds crazy, but I can promise you this is all fucking true, and I've got the documentation to prove it. This all fucking happened. This all happened, and I've not even got anywhere near. Yeah, I've not even got anywhere near. I mean, me when I had that court case with Beckham's, and they turn up, and there's 3 different fucking security teams, and when David phoned me up from fucking Madrid, and just I've not even got anywhere near half of the fucking stuff. It's just so much. I think we probably should leave rest for another night.
Well, do you know, there's a book in there somewhere. If only you could be fucking asked to write it.
Well, there is, and I mean, there is. I mean, this goes so fucking far. This goes so deep. It goes so far. It's so. This, if you think this is what woke me up, and what really woke me up was the newspapers, because I was. The Sun owed me 20 grand, right? They owed me 20 grand. I was just
going to ask you, what did you spend it on?
Didn't get it.
Of course you didn't. Yeah.
No, the Sun owed me 20 grand, right? And anyway, I'd been contacted by a bloke from a fanzine, a Manchester United fanzine called Red Issue, I think it was called. But he contacted me and had a really long conversation with him, and he said, "You've got to come to talk to us at one of these, one of our meetings." He says, "Because we're so, a lot of them are so Beckham obsessed, and you've got to all this." Because I told him the details and the stuff that were on there, the stuff that's really fucking blow your head off. It'll fucking blow your head off. And I know I can't say it. I can't. I'd love to tell you, but I just can't because of the fucking legal ramifications, and we'll probably get kicked off fucking YouTube. But he says, "You've got to come and talk to us." And after I'd spoke to him, I got a knock on my door one Sunday night. Knock on my door, and it were another big fucking guy, and he was from the Sunday Mirror. And he says, "Look," he says, "I know you've had problems and that, and you've had problems with Son and what have you, and yada yada yada." So I said, "I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll talk to you. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you my story, but I want a fucking contract that says that you're not printing anything until I've been fucking paid." Right? And so he says, "Okay, that's fine." And he did that. And anyway,
at that time, would it have been Piers Morgan?
Piers Morgan would have been editor, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, he'd. But yeah, anyway, this guy ended up coming along to a civil thing a lot later on. But this guy came along to this civil hearing when I was using something called because they got the computer back from the Sun, right?
Oh, so South Yorkshire Police had got this computer at this point.
South Yorkshire Police had got the computer. They got it from the Sun, right?
Oh, okay.
I think the Sun ran it as Beck's secrets stolen, but we get them back. And then it got a picture of this fucking John Haskell handing this computer over to fucking Copper. But the Coppers had got it back. So, right, after I'd all been cleared and everything, I said, well, can I have the computer back? And he said, well, is it yours? I said, well, yeah, of course it's mine. It's not been paid for. Son, by son or all that. So
Below your 20 grand, yeah.
It belongs to me. It belongs to me. It's my computer. And they said, oh, well, it's data protection. I said, what data protection? It don't make a fucking blind bit of difference. So I use what they call the Police Property Act, which has been used to reclaim property, even illegal property like drugs and fucking guns and stuff. It's been used by criminals, by people that have not been charged with things, but have had stuff confiscated. It's been used to get it back. So I researched it and I looked at it and I thought, this is it. This is what so I used the Police Property Act. So I went, I kept ringing police legal services and saying, where's my computer? Where's my computer? And they kept saying, well, if we give it to you, we're going to be sued by the Beckhams and Chase Security. If we give it to Chase Security, we're going to be sued by you and the Beckhams. And if we give it to the Beckhams, we're going to be sued by you and Chase Security. So we're in a no-win situation. So I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. So I went, use the Police Property Act. I can't remember the exact year. It was 1916 or 60 somewhere. It's got a 6 in it there, I'm sure it has. But it was there, and I thought I'm going to use that. So I used it, and I got a hearing at Rotherham Magistrates. Now, anybody who had an interest in this was informed. So Chase Security were informed.
Of course, yeah.
And so were the Beckham family. And so I'm going to court, and I'm going into the magistrates' court, and I'm going to ask for my property back, and it's going to be objected to by 2 very powerful fucking, people. I mean, they must have been 6 or 7 fucking barristers per fucking team. So there's me. There's my fucking solicitor, a guy called Edward Williams, who, by the way, was the solicitor for. Remember him who did the Ripper tapes? Remember it when he were in?
Yeah, Iron Jack, the northeastern. Yeah, the guy from
he was his solicitor. So,
right.
But that was afterwards, because I remember watching it and saying, "That's fucking Edward. That is fucking Edward Williams." Anyway. Wakefield solicitor. There's me and Edward Williams, my solicitor, and then there's 20 people for Chase Security, and then there's about 20 people for the Beckhams, and then there's this fucking judge, that's sitting there, who knows that he's got to make a judgment in my fucking favour. Otherwise,
he's absolutely fucking shitting himself, thinking, "What am I fucking doing here? I need a way out."
In fact, what he did exactly that. He said, well, I don't feel that I've got the authority to be able to judge on this.
No.
Yeah. So I'm adjourning it and sending it to a higher court.
Fucking hell. So he basically bottled it because he knew he was in a catch-22.
Yeah, he were fucked. He were fucked. It's just, I tell you what, there's just so much to this shit. Honestly, you don't know. You don't know. Hey dear,
mate. The only thing I've got to say is it's amazing how people's paths cross. And God, I can't remember how many years ago, when I was working at Viking FM, we had this really shitty coffee machine. And there was a group of girls one Thursday morning, got ushered in. They arrived in a little minibus. And we made them a cup of coffee with the coffee machine. And it was the Spice Girls. And I do remember that Victoria Adams at the time didn't take sugar in her coffee.
No, but I can confirm she takes it up the arse.
But other than that, I have absolutely no connection with the Beckhams whatsoever, other than God knows how many years ago she drank a shitty cup of coffee that I made at Viking FM in Hull. I can't remember how many years ago it is, but it's certainly nothing like the brush with the Beckhams that you've had. And I think when you do your book, it should be called Brushing with the Beckhams.
But the thing is, right, after that had happened, right, can I just go and get a drink? You just carry on for a minute. I just want to tell you just this, because this is quite important.
Yeah.
An important part of the story, and I just want to have a drink while I'm doing it because you know I'm an alcoholic, so just a one-legged alcoholic.
Thanks for listening to Raconteurs News. We've got Jason, who just over a week ago said that's the last Raconteurs News that we're ever going to do, and here we are a week later. In fact, talking about probably the most unbelievable story. I've heard bits of it over the years from Jason, and it does sound unbelievable. But when all the bits that he's told me over the years have all sort of come together, and you work out that Jason's quite right. You know, if he rung the police and said, "Hey, pinch my computer," and then they came round to me and I said, "Don't be fucking stupid. I bought it off him. I've got a receipt. I paid 70 quid for it." The police had just ring Jason and say, "Stop wasting police time." But here we are, all these years later, and what the police actually did was raided him when he was naked, laid on his bed, dragged him into a police cell, kept him for 20 hours. So what do you think? Is it because of the name Beckham's used? And what I have to say is, listen, I am the one man who knows fuck all about football. Nothing. And I mean less than fuck all I know about football. But what I do know is the name David Beckham. And that's how powerful it really is. So, Jason, you were going to get a drink and you were going to tell us there was something that you needed to get off your chest.
Yeah, well, I was just talking about, you know that I've just spoke about that where I'm there in the courtroom and
all these barristers.
All these barristers and all the King's horses.
They've all got the wigs on, going oh. Yeah.
Exactly, and all we needed really to do was just present our case, and that were it. There were no. I think they were trying to bring in data protection issues and stuff like that, but the data belonged to me. I mean, that's the way that the court fucking dealt with it. But well, it was supposed to deal with it. But anyway, I got into after that had happened. I thought to myself, look, I thought to myself, I really, it had took a fucking load out of me. I'd lost weight. I was fucking drinking too much. I was doing this. I was doing that. Some people were pulling me into fucking woods and trying to fucking shoot me. And fucking I was being intimidated by coppers. And I thought to myself, I want an end to it. So I thought to myself, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in touch with David Beckham. And I'm going to offer to sell him the computer for
that's a bit bold. You got, don't mind me saying.
No, for the amount that I paid for it. So give me the 70 quid. You can have it. I don't want it. It's fucking bailing my life. It's done me head in. That were me thinking. My rationale. I was thinking, right, I don't want it anymore. It's fucking caused me no but heartache and arguments and drinking and all these things it's caused me. I don't want it anymore. So they don't call me Holmes for nothing, but I found out the name of a personal assistant of his, a guy called Simon Oliveira. And now I'm doing this all from fucking memory. So if you want to look all these things up, have a look at him. This is the guy was called Simon Oliveira, and I managed to find online his mobile phone number. It was I think he was a publicist or something for Beckham's or something. Anyway, so I rung him up, and it sounded as though I'd just pulled him out of a pub in London, some party or other, because I could. And I was talking to him. I said, "Hey, Simon." Yep. Anyway, my name's Jason Holmes. You might have got this story about a computer going missing and yada yada yada. Well, that's me. And he went, "That's you, is it?" And I said, "Yeah, that's me. Yeah." I said, "Look, I don't want this fucking computer anymore. All I want the police to give it back to me, and then I will hand it over as soon as they give it back to me. So one of your representatives can come and with me, and as soon as the police hand it back to me, I will hand it to them. I don't want anything to do with it anymore. I just want the police to acknowledge that it belongs to me and it's mine, and that's it. It's done out. It's out of my life."
So you're just wanting rid, but you're wanting the acknowledgement
from the police, not from anybody else. I think you fuck about anyone else. Just want police to admit that they're fucking dickheads and they're useless at what they do.
Yeah,
that's all I'm wanting to do. Anyway, he says, "Okay, well, I'll put it to him, and we'll see what happens." Anyway, a few days later, I think it was a Wednesday, I'd been down to see Tammy, who were my other half at the time, in her fruit shop. The reason
is because the words fruit and fucking loop spring to mind whenever you mention your name, Tammy.
But anyway, I got home, and as I walked through the door, phone were ringing. You know, back in days when you had an house phone.
Yeah, you didn't have a mobile yet.
Phone were ringing, and so I picked it up, and I said, "Hello, is that Jason?" "Yep, it's Jason." Hey, hello, Jason. It's David Beckham. So there you go. He's fucking ringing me up. So I said, "Listen, David." In long and short, I said, "Listen, David." I said the same thing to him. I said, "I don't want the computer." I said, I want the computer. I just want to be exonerated. I want, nothing else from it. I don't want anything. Just, give me the 70 quid. Sure, if you can afford it.
Yeah.
But I'll give you the computer back. I don't want it. It's the bane of my life. "Oh, you have to be very careful when it comes to the press and all this sort of fucking shit." And I said, "Look, David," I said, "Look, whatever you want, I'm not bothered. I don't want it. I want my name clearing. My name is just as good as yours. I want it clearing."
Yeah.
And he just said, "Okay." And we said did our pleasantries and stuff, and that was last I heard from him. But after that, I got an email from their people saying that they didn't want to do that. That wasn't an acceptable solution. Now, for me, it was the solicitors saying, "Hang on, this is a really, really easy way to resolve this, and we're not going to make no fucking money."
Yeah.
"We're not going to make any money from this. What money are we going to make from this?"
Yeah.
If he just gives him computer back and he pays him 70 quid, what are we going to make? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw of that. So I don't blame him. I don't, and I did used to have a lot of animosity towards him. I really did, because he'd become such a big part of my life, and really turned it upside down. And I thought that he could have acted in a better way, but I do understand the way that he acted. I do actually understand. He's been advised. You have to be careful when you're talking to the media and all this sort of shit. He knows it a lot better than me. But so he's not used to a normal bloke offering him a fucking deal that can just wrap everything up.
Yeah, and he must be thinking to himself, he must be thinking, "This is too good to be fucking true. What's the catch?" Where what you're thinking is, I'm fucking sick of this bollocks. It's giving me no but shit. I just want out. I'm not bothered about 20 grand. I'm not bothered about 70 quid. I just want the acknowledgement that it's not me that's in the wrong. Just let me fucking out of this. Let me fuck off.
Exactly. But listen, I don't blame. This is the thing. I don't blame him at all. I used to, believe me, I used to have a lot of animosity for him. You know, when he was playing for England afterwards, and I'd be in a bar or somewhere, or we a group of mates, and we'd be watching England game, and get Beckham on, get Beckham, and I'm going, fuck off, he's fucking useless. I used to have a lot of animosity like that because of this incident, but I don't have any more. Don't have any animosity for him. He's doing what he does. He's playing a game. He used to play a game called football. Now he plays a game called media and you know and the world or whatever. And I just you know, you can get really fucking bitter about these things, and I know I did for a long time. You know, when fucking Jesus Christ, I ain't even going to Max Clifford, have I?
Listen, shall we save Max Clifford for another night? Because when I first got to know you, it was a long, long time before this Beckham thing reared its head. And I'm thinking to myself, fucking hell, my mate Jason, you know, he's had all this shit to deal with, and really he's not just this fucking nutter that's. And then of course, alongside all this, you're then getting your eyes opened to what's really going on in the world at the same time as going through this, and then 9/11 happens, and then your brain's just fucking going boom, mind blown, and then we end up at Max Clifford. So, listen, it's 20-10, mate.
I know it is. I know.
We've still got the same amount of people watching and listening. So I've been trying to get you to do this for a long, long time, and there's a long way to go with this. And all I've got to say is, hearing how somebody fucking woke up, made them realise there was something different going on in the world, whatever. Everybody's got their own story to tell. And as I've said loads of times, mine was realising that money wasn't real, and I was a fucking financial advisor. That was my kick up the arse. But it was also Jason saying to me things like, well, you do know a copper's only just wearing a fancy dress. And then me actually starting and looking at that sort of shit. And that's how I ended up where I am. But for Jason, you know, this guy sat there with people coming through his front door, dressed in fancy dress, locking him up for 20 hours with the name Beckham being involved. And this is at a time when, you know, Beckham was golden balls. He really was the fucking man. You couldn't open a newspaper any day of the week without him or his extra skinny wife being on the front fucking page. You know, and you were in the middle of this.
That's the reason why I went on Golden Balls. It was I went on Golden Balls. I thought, I've got to go on Golden Balls.
Jason's actually been on Golden Balls with Jasper Carrot, and he's also been on The Weakest Fucking Link.
Yeah, well, listen, there's tons more stuff. Perhaps we'll do some again later on in the week. But I know we've gone over. We're about 40 minutes over. But I think that's in the spirit of the new Raconteurs news, where we're going to be a little bit more flexible and you know, we're a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more just do what the fuck we want, really, to be fair.
The pressure is always to be disciplined in what time you start, what time you finish, who you have on, and the content that you're expecting. And I think what we've got to learn is that there is nothing expected, because life's not like that, and we all have got to be more flexible. And I know less than a week ago you said that was the last Raconteurs news. Clearly it wasn't. Who knows what the future holds, which is what makes it interesting. So what have we had tonight? Bloody hell, we've had freedom of speech, we've had Josie the Outlaw, we've had vaccinations, measles, infections, diseases, wide-eyed and legless, Beckham, medicine in the USA, Harry Hewitt. If anybody, I don't even know what they've decided to call this proglet yet, but it's clearly going to be Ginger and Hewitt. And please, if you are of the royal family and you're listening to this, not that I think you're fucking bothered, but if you are and you want me to take me to task, I would love it if you got Harry to have a DNA test to find out who his real father is. I'd just love it. So please take me to task over who I say is Harry's dad, because it's fucking James Hewitt. It's certainly not Prince Charles. So please take me to task. It's out there. It's in public. Anyway, Jason, what do you want to finish with, mate?
Well, I just want to say thanks to everyone for listening. We'll continue this. I mean, there's tons more of this stuff. I could go for about 10 hours talking about it. I've noticed. I just wanted to get your. I just wanted to get your reaction. Really, I've noticed a lot of people have been sharing on Facebook, and it's sort of, I think, to be saying, "Oh, how quaint," but they've bin sharing the David Wynn Miller stuff.
Oh, okay, right. Fucking hell.
Oh. Yeah, so you can watch that. David Wynn Miller, parsé, syntax, grammar, quantum grammar, stuff like that. It's really interesting. It's 9 hours long. So,
well, it's not. Listen, it's 9.5 hours. I've sat through it many times. There's other stuff that he's put out. Sadly, David's died. He was Bill Clinton's attorney.
That's one email I don't have to send then.
Yeah, he was Bill Clinton, but there is 30 minutes missing off the end of the 10-hour meeting that he did, the presentation that he did. So if anybody knows where that missing 30 minutes is, there's lots of stuff, but I still have to ask myself, what the fuck is that rug doing on his head? Because that is the worst wig ever. And for a man who's got a lot of money, why the fuck were you wearing that wig? But parsé, syntax, grammar. If you put a sign up saying no parking, everybody parks there. This is an example of parsé, syntax, grammar, and why you really should watch David Wynn Miller. And it's this: for the parking of the car is for the crushing. And that is parsé, syntax, grammar. Because what we all speak in is verb, adverb, verb, which just means no, 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 no. So when you go to court and they speak in parsé, syntax, grammar, or that's what they're writing things down in, and you're speaking in this bollocks English that we all talk, which means no, 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 that's why you lose in court. So go and look up David Wynn Miller and have a look at it, digest it and enjoy it. You'll never understand it, because what you'll think is he's either the most mental man that ever lived or he's the most clever man that ever lived. But go and just YouTube David Wynn Miller.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thanks, Ade. It's been. I want to once again. I want to say to people, look, I'm sorry about last week. I was in a really, really terrible place, and I really didn't want. I didn't mean anybody to be worried or upset or anything about it. We're going to be back. It's going to be just keep a lookout. It's going to be whenever we feel like it, really. Maybe even the end of this week or near the end of this week. What are we on, Tuesday? Yeah, we are, aren't we? Yeah. But yeah, listen, thanks everybody for listening. Support Webby on his the Webster Report. That go to, I think it's Webotto on YouTube. So support him and watch his shows. Also, I caught a bit of airy Cookie Munster last night. So support him as well. So thank you to everybody that's listened and watched with us this evening. Thanks to Ade, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy.